Chapter 888. Blood Shadow's intelligence was really good. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed for more than 50,000 years. The inheritance of a Mahayana cultivator like the Shadow Sword technique would not be easily lost. Zhang Dingming could recognize the Shadow Sword technique at a glance. It seemed that Blood Shadow still had some understanding of the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. He had already spoken and agreed to let Wang Digong be the candidate elder, so there was no problem for the others. Wang Digong bowed to Zhang Dingming. "Thank you, great elder." Seeing his courtesy, everyone was very satisfied. Zhou Wan said, "Digong, you will follow Manager Wu to cultivate in the future. Although you are talented, if it is a life and death battle, there are many cultivators of the same level who can kill you. I will follow Shadow Lord's teachings." Then, he bowed to Manager Wu. Disciple Wang Digong greets Manager. Manager Wu nodded with satisfaction. Victory without arrogance, worthy of the Yan Kingdom's royal family. Wang Digong's matter was settled. Wu Xiang looked at the remaining 9 disciples of the Wang family. "The talent of your 9 spiritual roots has reached the standard to enter the Blood Wolf. However, we still have to test your strength. If you can hold on for half a cup of tea's time, you can join the Blood Wolf." The 9 people said yes, and then an 8th level foundation establishment disciple of the Wang family stepped forward. A disciple of the same level also came out from the Blood Wolf. The Blood Wolf disciple took out a long sword and saluted, "Su Yiming." The Wang family disciple did not take out a magic weapon, but just saluted, "Wang Tongyu." After saluting, Su Yiming took the lead. Wang Tongyu waved his sleeve, and a black gas rushed out, and his whole body was hidden in the black gas. This black gas was not like a righteous spell, but with a strong yin qi. The black gas was still spreading around, and soon Su Yiming was shrouded in it. Su Yiming was covered in a silver armor shadow, and the long sword in his hand slashed out sword light, but the black gas did not dissipate at all. He snorted, and the sword light turned into spiritual power and integrated into the black gas. Then, the spiritual power in his body suddenly burst out, and the spiritual power in the black gas also emitted a silver light, and a part of the black gas was shaken away. Soon, the black gas rushed out again. Half a cup of tea's time passed quickly. Wang Tongyu still did not face Su Yiming head-on, but he still passed the test. Zhang Dingming pondered for a moment and said, "The cultivation method of the Wang family's younger generation does have a hint of the underworld sex inheritance. It's just that the netherworld sex cultivation method is evil, and this junior's spiritual power doesn't have the death chi." Wang Tongyu cupped his hands and said, replying to Grand Elder, "This disciple is indeed cultivating the netherworld sex inheritance. It's just that when this disciple cultivates this cultivation method, I use natural yin qi instead of death qi." Zhang Dingming nodded. "You've held on for half a cup of tea's time. Now you're a member of Blood Wolf." Next, the others began their tests. In the end, 3 of the Wang clan disciples were unable to hold on for half a cup of tea's time and were unable to enter the Blood Wolf. Next, these people would be selected as disciples by the various elders. Zhang Yu smiled and said, "Although these kids didn't pass the test, their talents are still pretty good." It was just that he had never experienced a life and death battle before, so his methods were a bit lacking. "It just so happens that I haven't taken in a personal disciple yet, so I can take in one." Su Qinghe also said, "I haven't taken in a personal disciple either, but I think this Wang Tonglai isn't bad. His physical strength isn't low, but in the foundation establishment stage, he won't be able to make full use of his physical strength. If he's properly trained, his strength will greatly improve once he reaches the Violet Palace realm." Wu Xiang also looked at the last Wang clan disciple. "This child's golden rock wrestling dragon technique isn't bad, but he lacks a bit of actual combat experience. Leave him to me to train." Personal disciples were like their own sons, and they had to be nurtured with all their might. Taking in a Wang clan disciple as a personal disciple was similar to a marriage alliance. Moreover, looking at Su Qinghe's expression, it was most likely that he wanted a marriage alliance. Wang Tonglia's talent was indeed one of the worst among the 10. However, his appearance wasn't bad. Although his appearance wasn't 1 in a million, he was still a handsome man, and his conduct was also decent. It wasn't wrong to say that body-refining cultivators had great potential. Back in the day, any late-stage golden core cultivator from the Savage Sun Palace was at least a third-rate golden core cultivator. He wasn't like the myriad Spirit Sect and Netherworld Sect cultivators, who were mostly unrated. Apart from the Zhang clan, the other members of Blood Shadow all wanted to get on the Wang clan's boat. Such a heaven-sent opportunity naturally couldn't be missed. The 10 Wang clan disciples all had their own arrangements. Wang Daoyuan said a few words and returned to Blood Shadow City. Then, he accompanied Zhou Wan to the Zhou clan's small courtyard. Zhou Wan asked, "I learned from Blood Shadow that Mingchen has already formed his gold core. However, I can't find out what minor abilities he's awakened. Also, where did Digong's shadow sword art come from?" This cultivation technique only appeared tens of thousands of years ago when the demons were rampant in the sky-chopping mountain range and the Valley of Beasts suppressed the demons. The other branches of the Valley of Beasts don't have this cultivation technique at all. Wang Daoyuan looked around the small courtyard and asked, "No one has set any traps in this small courtyard, right?" "Don't worry, I've already changed the formations in this courtyard. If anyone has any tricks up their sleeves, they won't be able to hide it from me." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "If Mingchen's minor abilities were ordinary, would I not let anyone find out?" Zhou Wan was pleasantly surprised. "The Nanming primordial fire?" Wang Daoyuan nodded his head. Zhou Wan laughed for a long time before saying, "The child I gave birth to is indeed promising. Mingchen has even more promising things. Do you want to hear them?" Zhou Wan said angrily, "Hurry up and tell me. Don't keep me in suspense." Mingchen is still the sect master of the Valley of Beasts. All the inheritances of the Valley of Beasts are in my hands. The Vermilion Bird Hall master of the Valley of Beasts contributed greatly to his awakening of the Nanming primordial fire. The first-generation ancestor of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tianpeng, was a disciple of the Valley of Beasts' Vermilion Bird Hall. Even the 10,000 spirits pagoda left behind by the patriarch of the Valley of Beasts is in Mingchen's hands. Zhou Wan was suspicious. "How did you make Mingchen the sect master of the Valley of Beasts? And how did he beat up everyone in the Valley of Beasts?" Wang Daoyuan told her about the situation in the Valley of Beasts. He did not hide anything about the Child of Fate. Zhou Wan was silent for a long time after hearing this. "It seems like my luck is not too bad. I actually found a Child of Fate as my Dao companion. No matter what happens in the future, even if we lose the battle of fate, I will walk down this path with you." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Don't be afraid. I am not an ordinary Child of Fate." Zhou Wan looked at him with disdain. "How is it not ordinary? Just because you have a Dharma treasure with a mystic realm? This item is very rare to us, but the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda only has 18 mystic realms. Do you think those with Earth immortal inheritances will care about these things?" Her words shocked Wang Daoyuan. His biggest secret had been discovered. However, Zhou Wan thought that it was just an ordinary mystic realm Dharma treasure. The most important thing about the spiritual pearl space was the flow of time, and the growth limit of a mystic realm far exceeded that of an ordinary mystic realm. He could also hide his relationship with the spiritual pearl. After a long time, she asked, "How did you know?" "You may be able to hide it from others, but you can't hide it from me. You can casually release tens of thousands of soul-chasing bees. I have never seen you release spirit bees to gather honey. Without a mystic realm, how can you raise so many soul-chasing bees? Also, I have never seen you go out to gather fourth-grade hidden cloud tea. You can casually take out dozens of kilograms. And that Wang Minglong, I have never seen him show his face. He suddenly transformed. He must have been raised in your mystic realm, right? If I was not worried that you would rely too much on this mystic realm, I would not have exposed you." "Humph, even the spirit beasts know about the mystic realm. You are still hiding it from me." Wang Daoyuan sighed. "I thought I hid it well. I didn't expect you to find out. I am a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots. The main reason why I can reach where I am today is because of this mystic realm. This thing is too rare in Beiyuan. If it is discovered, not only will I die, but my family will also be destroyed. So, I have never dared to tell others. Chapter 889. Zhou Wan chuckled. Do you think you can fool me with that little trick of yours? What's yours is mine. Do you think I'll betray my family's things to others? What delicious food and drink do you have in your secret realm? Give me some. I've been in the Blood Shadow headquarters for so many years, and I still have to maintain an unfathomable image. I don't even dare to eat or drink. It's really suffocating. She knew when to advance and when to retreat. Although she had pointed out the spiritual pearl space, she didn't go in to take a look. Wang Daoyuan took out 2 jars of 100-year-old 100-fruit wine and gave them to her. Then he took out a star-patterned sea cucumber. This star-patterned sea cucumber was 2 feet long and as thick as an adult's calf. There were 7 star patterns on its body, and its cultivation had reached the low grade of the 5th level. This is the star-patterned sea cucumber I got from the Qixing Sea Shushin community. This thing doesn't exist in the coastal waters of Beiyuan. You probably haven't eaten it before. In addition to rich spiritual energy, this thing also contains a lot of star power. Even if you reach the soul formation stage, eating this thing will still be very beneficial. It had been more than 30 years since he left the Qixing Sea Shushin community, and more than 2,000 years had passed in the space. The 3rd grade star pattern sea cucumber he caught back then had also grown to the 5th grade. Some of the red blood corals had also grown to the 4th grade, but none had grown to the 5th grade yet. Seeing the sea cucumber, Zhou Wan was interested. You can raise sea cucumbers in your secret realm? Give it to me. I'll show you what I can do. Although I haven't eaten star-patterned sea cucumber before, there are many other kinds of sea cucumbers in the East Sea. When I was at the Jade Spring Peak, I learned a few things from 8th sister. Then, she took the sea cucumber to the kitchen in the south of the East Wing. Since she was willing to take the initiative to cook, Wang Daoyuan was naturally willing to sit back and enjoy the fruits of her labor. Zhou Wan also had spiritual fire. Even the 5th grade sea cucumber couldn't last long in her hands. An hour later, Zhou Wan carried a clay pot to the stone table in the courtyard. Placing the clay pot on the stone table, he saw porridge made from sea cucumbers and spirit grains. Foundation establishment cultivators usually don't need to eat. I don't have anything good here, so I can only make porridge. Your Majesty, retired Emperor, please don't dislike it. The hall master personally cooked, how could I dare to dislike it? The two of them finished the whole pot of sea cucumber porridge and drank 3 jars of 100-fruit wine each. After eating and drinking their fill, Wang Daoyuan carried Zhou Wan into the boudoir. Ever since Zhou Wan became the Shadow Master, they hadn't seen each other for nearly 30 years. This could be considered a reunion after a long separation. After waking up the next day, Zhou Wan pressed down on Wang Daoyuan and started beating him. I've had this bed since I was young. You broke it again. Wang Daoyuan hadn't expected the star-patterned sea cucumber to have such benefits. They both ate and the bed couldn't stand it. After a long fight, Zhou Wan finally calmed down. Wang Daoyuan stayed at the Blood Shadow headquarters for more than half a year. He also contacted his family many times. Yan Empire was peaceful. The 3 demon clans didn't cause trouble. Wang Daoyuan came to the Blood Shadow headquarters this time mainly because he wanted to take a look at Absolute Heaven Abyss. Back then, when his master Thunderflame Daoist was at Golden Core Realm, he once went in for a stroll and even went more than 100 miles deep. With his current cultivation, it shouldn't be a problem for him to go in and investigate. Wang Daoyuan took out a scarlet flame shaped like a Wan phoenix from the space of the spirit pearl and gave it to Zhou Wan. After Mingchen formed his core, he used the gift of heaven and earth to condense the Nanmingli fire. He used the secret art to nurture pseudo-spiritual fire and gave me a pseudo-spiritual fire of the Nanmingli fire. He even asked me to return this scarlet Wan Nirvana flame to you. It can also raise your cultivation. This spiritual fire has already reached tier 5 low grade and merged with the mother fire once more. The spiritual fire should be able to use this opportunity to advance. Zhou Wan also didn't refuse. She took the flame and kept it in her dantian. My son is still the sensible one. He's much better than a heartless person like you. Wang Daoyuan took out a few beast skin books. When you praise your son, you always have to step on me. This is the inheritance related to the Scarlet One divine bird of the Valley of Beasts. Although it doesn't have the inheritance of a Mahayana cultivator, it can still be cultivated to the peak of divine transformation. The cultivation method you cultivate is only deduced by Zhou family's ancestor. It's rather shallow. There's not much meaning in switching cultivation methods now. It's also not bad to refer to these cultivation methods and improve your original cultivation method. Zhou Wan took the beast skin books and asked, "You have to go out for something again?" Wang Daoyuan nodded, "I plan to make a trip to Absolute Heaven Abyss." Back then, Beiyuan Sword Immortal killed several Earth Immortal Realm demons with one sword and split open Ancestral Dragon Mountain. After that, he passed away in Absolute Heaven Abyss. His belongings are all left in Absolute Heaven Abyss. My strongest method now is still Beiyuan Sword Immortal's inheritance. I want to go to the bottom of Absolute Heaven Abyss and see if I can find some of Beiyuan Sword Immortal's belongings. Moreover, Absolute Heaven Abyss was the central area of the Great War between humans and demons back then. There might be many things left behind by powerful figures. Just randomly picking up a bit can also be of great use. Hearing this, Zhou Wan's expression changed. Absolute Heaven Abyss is filled with danger, and there are even more demon remnants. Previously, many of Blood Shadow's ancestors also entered Absolute Heaven Abyss to investigate. But they all returned empty-handed, and some people never came out again. The north side of Absolute Heaven Abyss has a large number of formations. The south side is the core area of Qianyuan world. There's definitely a lot of defensive measures. Don't go in rashly. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Wang Daoyuan comforted, "Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I won't just charge in foolishly. There are Earth Immortals south of Absolute Heaven Abyss. My identity as the child of destiny can't be hidden from them. When the time comes, those forces definitely won't mind getting rid of me first to have one less opponent in the future war of destiny. In any case, there are spiritual items in the Sea of Seven Stars that can help me break through to soul formation. The legendary Azure Dragon ruins also have spiritual items that can help me break through to Mahayana realm. I won't take the risk to go south of Absolute Heaven Abyss for no reason. As for the demons in Absolute Heaven Abyss, there's no need to worry about them at all. If there are demons that can injure me, then they would have already broken through Absolute Heaven Abyss's defensive formation and turned Beiyuan Xiuxian into a demon domain. Moreover, when I was exploring the Seven Stars secret realm in the Qixing Sea of Xiuxian community, I casually took away a 6th-tier high-grade crafting cauldron. That crafting cauldron is called Xian Xian Cauldron. It's used by the supreme god Xian Xian and was once a 7th-tier mid-grade magic tool. With the Xian Xian Cauldron, even if I encounter a soul formation realm opponent, I have ways to deal with them. Zhou Wan sighed. Since you've already decided, I won't stop you anymore. It's best to be careful. Don't worry, I've always been greedy for life and afraid of death. Before entering Absolute Heaven Abyss, I'll also let my clone scout the way. There won't be any danger. He also left behind 50 jars of 100 fruit wine and 100 nascent cultivating pills for Zhou Wan. He also left behind a few kilograms of 5th-tier low-grade hidden cloud tea. Zhou Wan's cultivation progress was still relatively fast. With these resources, she should be able to break through to mid-stage Yuanying within 10 years. After leaving Blood Shadow's headquarters, Wang Daoyuan didn't head straight to Absolute Heaven Abyss. Instead, he flew towards the southwest. His target was Ascension Valley. The 10,000 Corpses Daoist master cultivated both corpses and ghosts. Back then, his master said that after this guy broke through to 5th tier, normal Yuanying cultivators wouldn't be his opponent. Now, he had stayed in the southern wasteland for more than 100 years and had harmed countless ferocious beasts. The number of refined corpses under his control had probably far surpassed back then. The reason why Wang Daoyuan went over this time was to give him a warning. Lest this guy wanted to cause trouble again and cause unrest in the southern wasteland. Traveling swiftly all the way, he only used a little more than a day's time to arrive at Ascension Valley. There wasn't much difference between this place and before. It was just that the concentration of spiritual energy had clearly increased, already reaching 5th tier low grade. Wang Daoyuan didn't hide and directly revealed his figure. Not long after, a refined corpse walked out. The refined corpse cupped his hands towards him and said, "Greetings, retired emperor." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "You're quite well informed. You even know a thing or two about Yan Kingdom's matters." No matter what, this old man still takes orders from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. I also have some understanding of the matters within the human race's territory. Retired Emperor's cultivation has reached late-stage yuanying. You must have made a trip to the Sea of 7 Stars. I wonder how the Imperial Regency is right now? Chapter 890. He didn't expect this guy to be so nostalgic. He was still thinking about the Imperial Regency. Wang Daoyuan didn't plan to hide it from him. There are several forces on the Sea of 7 Stars. The Imperial Regency's hidden forces have all joined Blood Shark. The large sects that destroyed the Imperial Regency have joined forces with other sects to form the 7 Stars Alliance. Both sides fight from time to time, but Blood Shark is in a weaker position and can only survive on the edge of the 7 islands. They have been fighting for thousands of years, and now they can't fight anymore. Their fighting has greatly weakened their strength. Mystic Ice Island wants to reach out to the Sea of 7 Stars, but there hasn't been any major trouble yet. The Demon Islands have also gone out of control. The demonic cultivators have grown stronger, and the righteous faction has withered. The Imperial Regency's branch, the Zhenhai sect, is also being suppressed by several demonic cultivator forces. Those demonic cultivator sects have been fighting for control of the Demon Islands, and haven't found the time to reach out to the Sea of 7 Stars yet. Refined Corpse sighed. Thousands of years have passed, and the Imperial Regency is still weak. The resources left behind in the past should have been used up long ago. If there aren't any major changes, the Imperial Regency won't be able to recover. By the way, is there any news about the soul cultivation wood? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. There are many theories. Some say that the Imperial Regency's elders moved it to a secret realm, and it's still in Blood Shark's hands. Some say that the Imperial Wind Divine Lord took it away, and some say that the 7 Stars Alliance is hiding it. No matter which theory it is, there is no evidence. If we have the soul cultivation wood and the complete cloned soul cultivation technique, the Imperial Regency will be able to recover even if we lack resources. But without the soul cultivation wood, we will have to compete with the 7 Stars Alliance for resources. Although there are some secret realms on the small islands in the outer seas, they can't be compared to the 7 large islands. I'm afraid the Imperial Regency has no hope of reviving. Wang Daoyuan laughed. That's not entirely true. Although Blood Shark is weak, the 7 Stars Alliance is also filled with internal conflicts. In addition, Blood Shark's territory was located at the border of the Barren Land, which was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the large island occupied by the 7 Stars Alliance. It would be difficult for them to gather enough strength to take down Blood Shark. The two sides had been fighting for thousands of years, but there was no clear victor. Now, it was time to see if the Mystic Ice Island and the Demon Islands would interfere with the Sea of 7 Stars. If Blood Shark can rope them in, then we still have a chance. Refined Corpse probed. Although Beiyuan Xiuxian has stage 5 spiritual qi, it's impossible for a stage 6 yin-yang spiritual item to appear in a short period of time. If the retired emperor wanted to break through to the soul formation stage, he would have to go to the Sea of 7 Stars. I wonder if you can bring me along next time? Wang Daoyuan sneered. What do you think? I don't want people from the Qixing Sea of Xiuxian community to come to Beiyuan Xiuxian and cause trouble for me. Refined Corpse sighed. I can't leave this sky-deceiving coffin. It seems that I have no hope of returning to the Sea of 7 Stars. Anyway, you're a refined corpse and a ghost cultivator. You don't have a lifespan limit. You just have to wait. One day, you'll become an Earth immortal. When that time comes, you can go wherever you want, right? I came here not only to see if you've been causing trouble like you did in the northern mountains, but also to see the Ascension Passage. You've been here for more than 100 years. You should know about the surrounding secret realms, right? Refined Corpse quickly answered, I haven't even killed a ghost cultivator here. I've only killed some ferocious beasts. I've never refused any orders from the Divine Weapon Pavilion or the Tai Sword Sect. As for the Ascension Passage, most of the secret realms here are formed by the Ascension Passage's broken parts. The secret realm I'm in is the biggest one. It's just that. Wang Daoyuan smiled. You're just afraid that I won't dare to go in? Then, 3 light balls appeared on his body. The 3 light balls were black, red gold, and yellow. They also contained the Thunder Law. They were the 3 thunder arts that Wang Daoyuan had mastered. Refined Corpse was shocked. Please don't be angry, Supreme Emperor. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Even if I'm in a place with dense Yin Qi, it won't stop me from using the Gue Water Divine Thunder. With my current strength, no one below the Soul Formation realm can match me. My divine power is the 5 elements domain. No matter how many refined corpses you have, you won't be able to kill me. Lead the way. I'd like to see what the secret realm formed by the Ascension Passage is like. Refined Corpse cupped his hands in acknowledgement. Then, he led Wang Daoyuan to the entrance of a secret realm. Although he wasn't afraid of facing a group of 5th-rank inferior refined corpses, he still had to guard against a sneak attack. He first released the 5th-rank inferior sword puppet Xian Bing and let it follow behind Refined Corpse. They entered the secret realm first. Wang Daoyuan had cultivated the complete doppelganger soul nurturing technique. He could ignore the isolation of the secret realm and directly sense his doppelganger. After Xian Bing entered the secret realm, there weren't any refined corpses lying in ambush. Wang Daoyuan followed behind. On the other hand, Refined Corpse was curious. The Northern Abyss cultivation world doesn't have any profound inheritance of puppetry. Could this 5th-grade low-grade sword puppet be the inheritance of my Imperial Spirit sect? Wang Daoyuan had snatched the inheritance from the Ziwei Palace. Although the Imperial Regency's puppetry art was much more advanced, there was an obvious connection between the two. The Imperial Regency must have obtained some of the Xinlian school's puppetry art and integrated it into their own puppetry art. It's somewhat related, but not completely. Seeing that he wasn't willing to elaborate, Refined Corpse didn't ask further. This secret realm was a bit like the Hell's secret realm in Shanbei, but there was more corpse qi. The entire secret realm was covered in a layer of black fog. This was formed by the fusion of Yin Qi and the corpse qi of the refined corpses. It had a strong blocking effect on divine sense. There was a Yin meridian in this secret realm. The concentration of Yin Qi had reached the 5th-rank inferior level. The secret realm wasn't small. It had a diameter of more than 100 miles, about the same as the Green Willow's secret realm. Refined Corpse brought Wang Daoyuan to the center of the secret realm. There was a huge hole with a diameter of 100 feet. The hole was also filled with black qi, and the situation below couldn't be seen clearly. Retired Emperor, this is the broken Ascension Passage. I've sent the refined corpses down to check it out. It's only a few hundred feet deep, and there are spatial cracks at the bottom. Wang Daoyuan didn't let the sword puppet go down. Instead, he released his clone, Liao Yang. Liao Yang flew carefully into the hole to investigate the situation. Closer to the ground, there were still rocks on the sides. After descending 200 feet, Wang Daoyuan felt obvious spatial fluctuations. It was like passing through the light screen at the entrance of the secret realm. Furthermore, there were obvious spatial fluctuations in the remaining 200 zhang. At this time, the walls of the cave were no longer rocks, but a light screen. From time to time, spatial cracks would appear. This light screen was similar to the entrance of the secret realm. It was formed by the laws of space. The Ascension Passage was originally a matter of laws. It was impossible for there to be a stone cave from the world of his previous life to this world. Here, there was no black fog formed by corpse chi and yin chi. He could see the bottom of the passage at a glance. Looking down, it was the same situation. It was just that there were more spatial cracks. However, after reaching a depth of 200 feet, the passage disappeared, leaving only a light screen. On this light screen, spatial cracks were densely packed like a spider web. They kept appearing and disappearing, and this cycle repeated. The spatial cracks were extremely powerful. Even if a cultivator at the peak of the soul formation realm encountered them, they would be seriously injured if not killed. After passing through this light screen, there should be an endless void on the other side. Liao Yang's cultivation was at the peak of the golden core realm. He would definitely die if he went down. Wang Daoyuan summoned him and kept him in the space of the spiritual pearl. Wang Daoyuan still had some nostalgia for the world of his previous life. He had always wanted to go back and take a look. Now that the ascension passage had become like this, it was impossible to go back from here. Then, he checked the place where the 10,000 corpse Daoists stored the refined corpses. In the end, he found that this guy had already raised 3 low-grade 5th-grade refined corpses and hundreds of 4th-grade refined corpses. Among them, there were 5 that had a chance of breaking through to the 5th grade. This strength was not inferior to a top force. Wang Daoyuan asked, "You raised so many 5th grade refined corpses. Do you want to establish your own sect in the southern wasteland?" Chapter 891. When Wang Daoyuan was in Beiyuan Shouxian, the 10,000 corpses spiritual master and his group of refined corpses couldn't do much. When he left Beiyuan and went to the Sea of 7 Stars, this guy might cause trouble. The others didn't have the means to easily suppress a group of refined corpses. If this guy cultivated more than 10 5th-rank refined corpses, the southern wasteland would be in chaos. The human race was facing strong enemies on 3 sides, and only the southern wasteland was peaceful. He didn't want another strong enemy to appear in the southern wasteland. Hearing this, the refined corpse that led Wang Daoyuan panicked. "I didn't mean that. I just killed a lot of fierce beasts and got a lot of blood essence. These things can't be wasted, so I cultivated a few refined corpses with good foundations to 5th rank. Besides, this heaven-deceiving coffin has the means left behind by Lei Yan. He can destroy it at any time. At that time, I will be discovered by the heavenly Tao, and then there will be heavenly punishment. I used the Yellow Spring's secret realm to hide from the heavenly punishment for thousands of years. Now that I'm exposed, I'll definitely die. I don't have the guts to establish my own sect in the southern wasteland." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Which one of us cultivators doesn't want to increase our strength? But at the same time, we can't do it without restrictions. Back then, you could only deal with 10 or 20 late-stage Aurus core cultivators at the same time, and you were attacked by a group. Now, I can easily kill dozens of Yuanian cultivators, but the humans in Beiyuan treat me as their protector. Do you know why?" The refined corpse was silent for a long time. "I used to think that I was attacked because I was a heretic cultivator. After sleeping for thousands of years, I finally understood that it was because I threatened the other powers. As for why they allowed you to stay, I don't understand. I have a family, a wife, and children. I can't abandon them. And my existence is more beneficial than harmful to them. With me, the demons won't dare to be impudent, and the human race can be protected. I'm inextricably linked to all the major factions in the North Abyss cultivation world. The rise of the Yen Kingdom will only become a part of them, not replace them. But you don't have any of these things. You're walking the path of refining corpses. Whether or not there are any living people in Beiyuan won't affect your cultivation. Without a family or property, you would have nothing to tie you down. You could slaughter the entire humankind at any time. Is there any difference between your situation now and thousands of years ago?" Since he had the strength to cause chaos in the southern wasteland, he did not have much to worry about. "Your only weakness is the heaven-deceiving coffin. If it weren't for the fact that the heaven-deceiving coffin could restrain you, the 4 top forces would have killed you long ago. The backup plan left by Shizuan is not so much to restrain you, but to protect you. However, if you continue to expand your forces and make the other major powers feel threatened, then you can just wait for death. Back then, this guy was just a very ordinary disciple of the Imperial Regency. Later on, he was on the run and didn't have much contact with others. After arriving in Beiyuan, there was another round of slaughter. He had never been the decision-maker of a force, and he rarely interacted with others. Even though he had lived for thousands of years, his understanding of the human heart was still lacking. Of course, he wasn't stupid. With Wang Daoyuan's reminder, he immediately understood. In that case, I could be besieged by the major powers at any time? No matter what, we still have some ties. Some of your inheritance came from me. What should I do? Please give me a way out, Your Majesty. This guy still knew the difference between life and death, then there was still hope. 3 rank 5 corpses are already not weak. There aren't any strong enemies in the southern wasteland. If you have more rank 5 corpses, then you'll be having improper thoughts. A few fewer refined corpses won't affect your own cultivation either. You know very well what to do. The refined corpse bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your advice. This old one will not nurture any more rank 5 corpses. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't stay here for long. When I have time, I'll come here to take a look. If I find other rank 5 corpses, don't blame me for killing them. With that, he left the secret realm and headed towards the southeast. Soon, the flying boat arrived at Sky Devil Valley. Now, this place was already a large lake with a radius of several hundred miles. Back then, when Sky Devil Valley was burned, the effects were still very good. There wasn't a trace of fiendish energy existing in the lake. There were also quite a few aquatic fierce beasts swimming in it. Wang Daoyuan flew to the southernmost end of Sky Devil Valley, a place close to Absolute Heaven Abyss. In front of him was the array formation that bound Absolute Heaven Abyss. The formation patterns were carved on the cliff wall of Absolute Heaven Abyss's north shore. On some of the protruding rocks, some of the formation patterns could be seen. Even with his middle grade rank 5 array master standard, it was also hard to identify these formation patterns. Since he was already here, he couldn't just watch. Releasing his clone Liao Yang, let him enter Absolute Heaven Abyss. What Wang Daoyuan was most afraid of was not that there was any danger in Absolute Heaven Abyss, but that after entering Absolute Heaven Abyss, wanting to return again, but being blocked by the array formation. Master had made a trip there and also successfully returned. But now that spiritual energy had recovered, the power of the array formation also increased. Let his clone test the waters first. If his clone couldn't return, then he wouldn't go in. The clone Liao Yang crossed the array formation very easily and entered Absolute Heaven Abyss. With Wang Daoyuan's all-encompassing perception clone, Liao Yang only felt like his entire body was being sliced by blades right now. The black energy in this Absolute Heaven Abyss was even more powerful than the 9 heavens gale. Just entering for a while, the black energy started invading his physical body. After the black energy entered the body, it rapidly integrated into the meridians and blood, and flowed along the vital energy and meridians. Places that the black energy passed through were like thousands of ants biting. This kind of black energy was not what golden core cultivators could resist. Master being able to enter 100 miles into Absolute Heaven Abyss back then was most likely relying on the exquisite pagoda to resist the corrosion of the black energy. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to let Liao Yang stay for long either, controlling him to immediately leave Absolute Heaven Abyss. This time, when passing through the array formation, the clone suffered a bit of obstruction. No idea if it was because the black energy of Absolute Heaven Abyss was integrated into his body, or because he was a fiendish cultivator. However, it was fine as long as he could return. Wang Daoyuan kept him into the spirit bead space, personally crossing the array formation and entering Absolute Heaven Abyss. Just as he entered, a wave of black energy surged towards his body. Wang Daoyuan used spirit energy to condense a protective aura, which could temporarily block the black energy from invading his body. However, this black energy would gradually erode the protective aura, one had to continuously inject spirit energy into the protective aura to barely maintain it. This place was filled with black energy everywhere. There was no spirit energy that cultivators could refine at all. As a Yuanian cultivator, his comprehension of laws was deeper, and the things he could sense were also more. Other than the black energy invading his body, he also felt that this absolute heaven abyss had another unusual place, and that was that the power of laws in absolute heaven abyss was extremely thin. Flying more than 10 miles into the depths of absolute heaven abyss, this power of laws became even thinner, practically unable to sense it. The power of laws was derived from the heavenly Tao. A place without the power of laws was a place that the heavenly Tao could not control. There was no spirit energy here, and also no power of laws. In addition to the black energy invading the body, one had to use spirit energy to resist it. Even if a soul formation cultivator came here, they would also be slowly exhausted to death. Wang Daoyuan had the spirit orb space to provide spirit energy, so he could stay here for a very long time. However, there was no spirit energy here. When he needed to fight, he could not borrow external force with his small divine abilities, and his strength would be slightly affected. He flew towards the southeast. There was something there that made him feel close, and made the spirit orb feel fear. Back then, when he first came to the south after forming his core, he sensed this thing. Activating sword intent, this thing could resonate with sword intent. Back then, the one who hacked out absolute heaven abyss and damaged the spirit orb was Beiyuan's sword immortal. To be able to make the spirit orb feel fear, it must be something he left behind. Entering absolute heaven abyss, how could he return empty-handed? Less than 100 miles in, he encountered a whirlpool formed by black energy. In this whirlpool, black energy violently surged. Wang Daoyuan only got slightly closer, and the speed of his protective aura being eroded increased by several times. A wise man knows better than to lose. He hurriedly went around this whirlpool. After flying for more than 1,000 miles, a burst of laughter came into his ears. There's actually a human brat who dares to come to absolute heaven abyss, and he's even a late-stage Yuaniing. Brothers, let's attack together and eat this guy. Chapter 892. There were no other powerful races in the absolute heaven abyss. This guy who spoke was definitely a fiend. Seeing through that he was a late-stage Yuaniing cultivator and still being fearless, it could only be a fiend. Wang Daoyuan cast the heaven-prying mystic art to investigate the surroundings. Sure enough, 200 miles ahead, he discovered a fiend that was more than 30 feet tall. Looking at this guy's surging vital energy, he should be of the blood fiend lineage. His cultivation was also late-stage Yuaniing. Encountering such a guy, not only did Wang Daoyuan not panic, he was rather overjoyed instead. The true fiend blood lotus that he planted in the spirit pearl space was already about to bloom after being watered by blood flame for many years. However, this true fiend blood lotus was only high-grade rank 4. Blood flame was only a late-stage golden core fiend. To let the true fiend blood lotus advance a step further and become a rank 5 spirit plant, it must have the blood essence of a rank 5 blood fiend to water it. Wang Daoyuan was still worrying about not being able to find a rank 5 blood fiend. Now, it delivered itself to his doorstep. He directly cast the void-piercing sword shift, turning into a long sword phantom, and charged towards the blood fiend. These fiends lived in the absolute heaven abyss for a long time and were clearly more adapted to this black gas. He seemed to be able to directly see things 200 miles away with his naked eye. The moment Wang Daoyuan moved, he immediately retreated. The fiends of the blood fiend lineage also looked grotesquely shaped. Some species grew a pair of wings, and their speed was not slow. While this one did not have wings, its speed was far inferior to the sword shift. The blood fiend's hands were not idle either, summoning a blood-colored long spear. Wang Daoyuan flew to within 10 miles of the blood fiend. Several streaks of silver light flew out from the sword phantom. The blood fiend waved the long spear, easily blocking the sword light. Wang Daoyuan regarded this blood fiend highly. Being able to easily block his casual attack at the same cultivation, his strength was not weak. The blood fiend repeatedly waved the long spear, several streaks of blood light flying out. Wang Daoyuan dispersed the void-piercing sword shift, condensing 10 sword phantoms, scattering all of the blood light. The origin returning sword was already grasped in his hand, his body instantly disappearing. Only to see a dazzling silver light flash past, an ear-piercing sound echoed. The blood-colored long spear broke, and the blood fiend turned pale with fright. Instantly, he turned into a streak of bloody light, trying to escape. At this moment, 3 more Yuanying demons appeared 200 miles away. However, their cultivation levels were relatively low. One of them was in the middle stage of Yuanying, while the other 2 were only in the early stage of Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan's domain god art was limited here. If he faced 4 devils at the same time, it wouldn't be easy to take them down in a short time. He directly used the white tiger soul-subduing roar. Although the nomological powers here were thin, they were still in the Qinyuan world. The divine beast's restraining effect on the infernal still existed. The late Yuanying devil clan was closer to the tiger's roar. He was stunned for a moment, and the blood escape was also interrupted. The white tiger soul-subduing roar alone was not enough to make an opponent of the same level completely lose their ability to resist. However, this momentary daze was enough to determine life and death. Wang Daoyuan struck while the iron was hot. He executed the silver light evasion once more and chased after them. He took out the Xian Xian cauldron and put it into the cauldron. In terms of suppression, the Xian Xian cauldron was far inferior to the 10,000 spirits pagoda. However, it was a dignified low-grade tier 6 Dharma artifact with an artifact spirit. Suppressing a late Yuanying devil clan was a piece of cake. The other 3 demons were further away, so they weren't affected too much. However, when they saw their leader being taken down in an instant, how would they dare to court death? They directly abandoned their companions and turned to run. Wang Daoyuan could not be bothered with them and continued to head towards the place he sensed. Along the way, there were a few more black whirlpools. After more than 2 hours, he finally arrived at his destination. There was actually not a trace of black chi within 100 miles of this place. In the center of this place was a tall stone pillar. The stone pillar was not small, with a diameter of more than 15 miles. The reason why it was called a stone pillar and not a mountain was because the stone pillar was the same size. The side of the stone pillar was densely engraved with nomological inscriptions. Looking down the stone pillar, it was pitch black. It was unknown how deep this absolute heaven abyss was. This was clearly not formed naturally, but should have been refined by an expert. The top of the stone pillar was also very simple. There was a lone grave, a stone tablet, a rusted sword, and a few stalks of grass. Not a single blade of grass grew in the absolute heaven abyss. On this lone grave, there were actually a few stalks of grass. Although they looked sickly, they contained a strong vitality. As soon as Wang Daoyuan entered the 50-kilometer radius of the stone pillar, he felt a strong killing aura, as well as the extremely familiar sword intent of returning origin. The rusted sword began to tremble violently, and a sword gleam slashed towards him. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to be careless. He hurriedly took out the Guiyuan sword and activated his own Guiyuan sword intent, preparing to block this sword gleam. Soon, this sword gleam disappeared into thin air. The Guiyuan sword intent from the rusted sword resonated with Wang Daoyuan's sword intent. The killing intent had also disappeared. Instead, he felt some familiarity. Wang Daoyuan first released the sword puppet, Xian Bing, and let it land on the stone pillar. A wave of killing intent came from the rusted sword, enveloping Xian Bing. As soon as Xian Bing displayed the Guiyuan sword intent, this killing intent disappeared. It landed in front of the grave and did not suffer any attacks. Only then did Wang Daoyuan relax and land on the stone pillar. On the simple stone tablet in front of the lone grave was engraved, Tomb of Late Master Guiyuan Sword Immortal. There was also a row of small words next to it, engraved, Unworthy Disciple Gui Yunli. According to the Guiyuan record obtained in Ziwei Hall, Gui Yun was the second disciple of Guiyuan Sword Immortal. He was the one who went to the Sea of Seven Stars and asked the supreme divinity Xian Xian to forge the 8th level Guiyuan sword. Wang Daoyuan obtained the inheritance in the Guiyuan record and was also considered Guiyuan Sword Immortals' disciple. Guiyuan was considered his second senior brother. He walked in front of Guiyuan Sword Immortals' tomb and bowed. Junior Wang Daoyuan, by chance, obtained senior's inheritance. I hereby kowtow and thank senior for his great kindness. After getting up, a voice came from the rusted sword. Did you obtain the inheritance from the Xunlian school in the Sea of Seven Stars? A faint white figure appeared on the rusted sword. When Wang Daoyuan obtained the Guiyuan sword diagram in Ziwei school, he had seen the back of Guiyuan's sword immortal. At that time, the aura was exactly the same as this white figure. This should be Guiyuan's sword immortal. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly bowed. Junior Wang Daoyuan greets Guiyuan sword immortal. More than 100 years ago, in the Sky Devil Valley north of the decimating heaven abyss, the devil race caused chaos. During the battle with the devil race, I received guidance from senior and comprehended the Guiyuan sword intent. Later, I went to the Qixing Sea Shoshin community to search for opportunities and entered the secret realm left behind by Xunlian school. I obtained the Guiyuan sword diagram and Guiyuan record left behind by senior. The white figure sighed. Xian Xian Daoyu died in battle. It seems that the Xunlian school's inheritance was also cut off. I still have some impression of the sword intent resonance from 100 years ago. At that time, I felt that there was a person on the north shore of the decimating heaven abyss that had some connection with me. Coincidentally, you were fusing the sword intent at that time, so I released some sword intent to guide you. You were able to use this opportunity to comprehend the Guiyuan sword intent. This is also your opportunity. To be able to comprehend the Guiyuan sword intent, your talent is naturally not bad. You also received my inheritance, so you can be considered my personal disciple. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly crawled along the pole, kneeling 3 times and kowtowing 9 times. Disciple Wang Daoyuan greets Master. He was only an in-name disciple of Daoist Lei Yan. A cultivator could be the in-name disciple of many cultivators. There was no problem with him taking other people as his master. Guiyuan's sword immortal was full of smiles. Good, I didn't expect that after so many years, would still be able to take in a personal disciple. From now on, you are my 3rd disciple. Your eldest apprentice brother Guiyuan died in battle. 2nd apprentice brother Guiyun should still be alive. Guiyun's talent is slightly lacking, but he is kind and loyal. When you see him in the future, show him the Guiyuan sword intent. If you have any problems, just ask him for help. Wang Daoyuan nodded in agreement, and asked again. Master, why are you in this sword? Guiyuan's sword immortal sighed. In the past, in order to exterminate the devil race, I fused all of my power into the sword and slashed out a heaven-shaking sword. After this sword slash, I passed away at that time. My soul should have also dissipated. But I didn't expect that my soul would actually fuse into the sword and fuse with the weapon spirit that had yet to take form. Borrowing the power of the sword, my soul has survived until now. Chapter 893. This rusted sword should be the 8th order origin sword that Divine Venerable Forging Immortal had helped to forge. According to the Xian Xian Cauldron, Guiyuan's sword immortal died more than 10 years after he left. Presumably, that was when the war between humans and demons was at its most intense. Guiyuan's sword immortal had just obtained the sword of origin, so it should not have given birth to a complete artifact spirit. He still had 5 such unformed artifact spirits in his winged dragons. It was not completely impossible for Guiyuan's sword immortal's soul to fuse with an unformed artifact spirit. Wang Daoyuan asked, Master, why didn't 2nd senior brother bury your body elsewhere, but in this decimating heaven abyss? Why don't I move you somewhere else? Guiyuan's sword immortal sighed, your 2nd senior brother had no choice. When I passed away, he was only at the mid-Mahayana realm. Your eldest senior brother was a mighty figure, but he had already died in battle before I passed away. He was a junior who was not even a mighty figure, so he did not have much say. I could cut Ancestral Dragon Mountain in half and create the decimating heaven abyss on the ground, so I naturally had the ability to destroy the entire Qianyuan realm. The heavenly axiom and those earth immortals were afraid that my inheritance would spread, and the Qianyuan realm would no longer be peaceful. So I placed my grave in this decimating heaven abyss, and placed the Sword of Origin here. Your second senior brother's talent was not very strong, and he did not learn the essence of the Sword of Origin, so he could not pose too much of a threat. Although there are some inheritances outside, without my personal guidance, it would be difficult for him to achieve anything. The power of laws here is weak, so the heavenly axiom should not be able to exert much power. I'll move your body to the north of the decimating heaven abyss for burial, so there should be no problem. Beiyuan's sword immortal shook his head. It's good that you have this intention, it's the same wherever you are buried. Those people also put in a lot of effort to prevent my inheritance from spreading. This stone pillar is quite extraordinary, it's a formation set up by many earth immortals and mighty figures. The decimating heaven abyss is actually a crack in the Qianyuan realm, it leads straight to the endless void. This black gas is formed by the chaotic power in the void, mixed with the power of the heavenly axiom of the Qianyuan realm. The law inscriptions on the stone pillar can transform the black gas into spiritual power to nourish the Sword of Origin. Then, borrow the power of the Origin returning sword to suppress the absolute heaven abyss. If there was no one suppressing absolute heaven abyss, the living beings wandering in the void would be able to enter and exit this place at will. Even the demons could easily enter. Devils with high cultivation could break through the array formation of the North Bank and enter the Qianyuan world. At that time, the fiend race could use Beiyuan as a foothold and attack the south of absolute heaven abyss. The formation on the stone pillar continuously converted the black gas into spiritual energy and infused it into the Origin restoring sword. As long as a power of deity transformation and above appeared in the absolute heaven abyss, the Origin returning sword would be able to borrow the power of the heavenly Tao to kill it. Only those who possess the sword essence of Beiyuan and are able to resonate with the sword essence of Beiyuan will be able to avoid this danger. Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan felt indignant. Master, you have contributed greatly to the entire Qianyuan realm, yet those people treat you like this. Sword immortal Beiyuan smiled sadly. My strength is feared by the heavenly Tao. It's not strange for me to be suppressed. Now that I've fallen to this point, I no longer have the chance to reincarnate. Even if I leave, what can I do? Every 10,000 years, your second senior brother will enter the absolute heaven abyss to help nurture the Origin restoring sword, so as to prevent the sword essence from weakening and not being able to suppress the remnants of the fiend race. If I don't guard the absolute heaven abyss, I'm afraid every powerful being will want to destroy me. If I lose my value, your second senior brother will also lose his value. Those people will also not keep him. I'm staying here to protect your second senior brother. I have contributed greatly to the Qianyuan realm, and the heavenly Tao cannot erase it. When the absolute heaven abyss recovers in the future, I will definitely be able to obtain many benefits. It won't be a problem to enter the cycle of reincarnation with my memories and the remnants of this life. Wang Daoyuan sighed. I've received Master's inheritance, but I can't do anything for Master. I'm really ashamed. Sword immortal Beiyuan smiled. There's no need for that. I see that you're a pentaspirit veins cultivator, the same as me. The Origin restoring sword is made of mixed divine gold and has no attributes. Your second senior brother is a metal attribute cultivator. He's still lacking a bit in nurturing the Origin restoring sword. The spiritual energy converted from this stone pillar is also very impure. It's hard for me to unleash enough power. This Origin restoring sword is also slowly being corroded, becoming rusty. If this goes on, even with your second senior brother nurturing it, it won't be able to last for many years. Inject some spiritual energy into the Origin restoring sword. If you use up too much of your spiritual energy, go to the North Bank to recover. With the 5 elements spiritual energy nurturing it, I can also hold on for a few more years. As long as I'm here, no one will dare to kill the two of you. Wang Daoyuan released the 5 elements spiritual fire and asked, Master, my spiritual energy has the attribute of spiritual fire. Do you think it's okay? Sword Immortal Beiyuan was overjoyed. It's even better if you have spiritual fire. You can refine the impure spiritual energy converted from this formation. I can even give you a bit of this spiritual energy, so you don't have to run back and forth. I'll pass the spiritual energy converted from this formation to you. After you refine it with spiritual fire, you can use it to nurture the origin restoring sword. Wang Daoyuan nodded. A multicolored spiritual energy was emitted from the origin restoring sword. Although this spiritual energy was impure, its quality was extremely high. To be able to nurture a level 8 origin restoring sword for tens of thousands of years, it had to be at least level 7. He drew out a wisp of each 5 elements spiritual fire and used it to burn this spiritual energy. Soon, the entire stone pillar turned into a sea of fire. Wang Daoyuan kept extracting spiritual energy from the sea of fire and infusing it into the origin restoring sword. Of course, there was also a small amount of spiritual energy that entered his body. He stayed here for a year. The rust on the origin restoring sword had completely receded, and the sword had returned to its original appearance. Even the soul of Sword Immortal Beiyuan had become much more solid. Wang Daoyuan's gains were also great. He had a huge amount of level 7 spiritual energy and the personal guidance of the Sword Immortal. He had successfully broken through to the peak of Yuanying, and his sword intent had also improved greatly. According to what Sword Immortal Beiyuan said, the current Wang Daoyuan, with a level 6 magic artifact, would be able to escape unscathed if he fought with a level 6 cultivator. Of course, it would be impossible to win. After all, the gap between soul formation cultivators and Yuanying cultivators was too great. It was not something that sword intent could make up for. Sword Immortal Beiyuan smiled. In tens of thousands of years, I have never been so relaxed. Oh right, do you still have that origin restoring sword diagram on you? Wang Daoyuan took out the sword diagram from the space in the spiritual pearl. I have always carried this sword diagram with me. I often take it out to study. Sword Immortal Beiyuan waved his hand, and the sword diagram unfolded automatically. Then, he started to extract the sword intent from the sword diagram. After a long time, he put away the sword diagram. My own sword intent is still better. With your help, I can hold on for tens of thousands of years without a problem. I have extracted more than half of the sword intent from the origin restoring sword diagram, but it is not a big problem. Use your spiritual energy and divine sense to nourish it. You can still slowly recover. With me standing guard here, there is nothing in heaven-ending abyss that can harm you. Come here often in the future, I will give you a lot of pointers. In this year, I discovered that your comprehension ability is extremely good. It is much better than your 2 senior brothers, and even a bit better than me. With my pointers, you will definitely be able to comprehend the essence of the origin restoring sword intent. It is also not impossible for you to surpass me in the future. South of heaven-ending abyss, under a tall plum tree, 2 old men were drinking wine. The black-robed old man looked at heaven-ending abyss with a worried expression. What is this old brother Beiyuan doing? In this year, heaven-ending abyss has not been peaceful. First, the black chi was restless. This origin restoring sword intent also became stronger and stronger. Now, the sword intent has suddenly skyrocketed. The white-robed old man smiled. As long as nothing crosses the formation, it has nothing to do with us. Sword Immortal Beiyuan has done so much for Qianyuan world, yet he has fallen to such a state. We are 2 idlers who were sent here, why do we care so much? Old brother Beiyuan's increasing strength is not a bad thing. The black-robed old man picked up the wine jar. That is right. When old brother Beiyuan comes out, he will not find trouble with us. When the time comes, let's see which grandsons are afraid. Chapter 894. The 2 old men looked at each other and smiled, then continued drinking. Beiyuan Sword Immortal looked at the 5 elemental spiritual fires beside him and smiled. You're quite lucky, these 5 spiritual fires are quite extraordinary, you actually found all of them. Even in the Qianyuan world, I've never heard of anyone who could find all of them. Unfortunately, your spiritual fire's grade is too low. Even if you burn rank 7 spiritual power, you can't convert it into yin and yang qi of high quality. Otherwise, you can use these two types of spiritual fire to refine your yuanying. In time, you can also transform into an essence soul and break through to the soul formation realm. Unfortunately, without rank 6 yin and yang qi, the effect is worse than sunbathing. Wang Daoyuan didn't care at all. I've already made plans. When I'm done with my family's matters, I'll head to the Qixing Si Xiuxian community to look for soul formation spiritual items. I've already gone there once when I was at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Now that I'm at the peak of the Yuanying realm, it's not a problem to go again. My family is north of the Wanchuan River, next to the Tianzhan mountain range. There are often demons causing trouble there. If I don't contact my family for a long time, I'm afraid there will be trouble there. Master, since you've recovered, I'll take my leave. When I'm free, I'll come to see you again. He was mainly afraid that Zhou Wan would be worried. After all, the decimating heaven abyss wasn't a simple place. It was difficult to stay there for even a day, and Wang Daoyuan had already stayed there for a year. Guiyuan's sword immortal waved his hand. If you have something to do, just do it. I'm in a good state now. Even if an earth immortal or demon comes, I can kill him with one sword, don't worry about me. However, don't go to the south bank of the decimating heaven abyss. The formation there is extremely powerful. Without Mahayana cultivation, you'll be courting death. Also, there are powerful beings guarding outside the formation. There are even earth immortals guarding the important areas. The order they received is to kill all living beings who dare to go there, regardless of whether you're a human or a demon. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands. Master, don't worry, I've always been afraid of death. I won't take risks. After bidding farewell to Guiyuan's sword immortal, he flew towards the north. The place where this stone pillar was located was merely a few thousand kilometers away from the northern shore of the absolute heaven abyss. It only took him a little more than a quarter of an hour to reach the north shore. When they passed through the formation, they didn't encounter any obstacles. The place where he came ashore was precisely the eastern end of the demon-resisting mountain, a place not far from the heavenly/mountain range. Back then, fiends would frequently appear here as well. Ever since the Heavenly Devil Valley's fiend chaos, the fiends that escaped from absolute heaven abyss were practically wiped out in one fell swoop. Right now, there were no traces of the devil race here, only some devil cultivators. However, these demonic cultivators were only at the peak of the Golden Core realm. After all, their cultivation techniques originated from the devil race and were suppressed by the heavenly Tao. They often killed the innocent. Yuanying's heavenly tribulation was extremely terrifying. In order to survive the Yuanying heavenly tribulation, he would probably need a level 5 magic artifact. Now that the spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xiuxian had just recovered, there were no materials to recover to the 5th level. If one wanted to refine a low-grade 5th-tier magic tool, it was not something an ordinary force could do. In the future, the main threats to the southern wasteland would still be the ferocious beasts and the 10,000 corpses immortal. Wang Daoyuan casually found a cave and released Protector Xian Bing and Protector Xian Ding. Afterwards, he took out the Xian Xian cauldron. The blood demon that was captured in absolute heaven abyss was stored in the Xian Xian cauldron. Coupled with the time flow of the spiritual bead space, this guy had already been tortured for more than 80 years. The artifact spirit of the Xian Xian cauldron came out, and Wang Daoyuan asked, "How's that blood demon?" The artifact spirit had a proud look. This old man can't do other things, but refining something is still no problem. This blood demon's chi, blood, and fiend's spiritual energy have already been more or less absorbed by me. Now that he can unleash the strength of a golden core, he can be considered capable. Wang Daoyuan pulled this guy out of the Xian Xian cauldron. Sure enough, this blood demon was only left with skin and bones. The vitality of his body was already very weak, which was the level of an initial stage golden core cultivator. Seeing Wang Daoyuan, he still wanted to scare him. Looking at the environment here, he was stunned at once. "Where did you bring me to? This isn't absolute heaven abyss." Wang Daoyuan could not be bothered with him, and directly used the white tiger soul-subduing roar. This blood demon did not have late-stage Yuanying spiritual energy to protect his body right now. Under the roar, he could not withstand a single blow, and instantly fainted. Wang Daoyuan took out the divided soul in Shui Yan's body, and merged it into the blood demon's soul. The fiend race's cultivation system was rather similar to the human race's. There was also a Yuanying that looked very similar to the main body. Putting it into the spiritual bead space, after the divided soul took control of his body, Wang Daoyuan began to pry into his memories. This blood demon was called Shui Quan, and there was nothing unusual about his background. His parents were both golden core fiends, and there was nothing special about them. This guy belonged to the category of gifted, and relied on himself to cultivate to late-stage Yuanying. Because Absolute Heaven Abyss had Guiyuan's sword immortal guarding it, high-level fiends could not survive at all. Late-stage and pinnacle Yuanying cultivation was already the pinnacle of the fiends. From this fiend's memories, Wang Daoyuan understood the living conditions of the fiends in Absolute Heaven Abyss. The fiends in Absolute Heaven Abyss existed in the form of tribes. Every time they wanted to cause trouble, each tribe would send out experts. This Shui Quan was the leader of a tribe, and the few Yuanying fiends that were scared away by Wang Daoyuan were also members of his tribe. The black qi in Absolute Heaven Abyss was formed by the chaotic energy in the endless void, and the power of laws of the Qian Yuan world. The reason why the fiends could conquer various worlds was because they could use the chaotic energy in the void to cultivate. Otherwise, they would not be able to survive in Absolute Heaven Abyss. Compared to the human race, the fiends had two huge advantages. One was that every fiend could cultivate from birth. Another huge advantage was that their lifespan was longer, about 3 times that of human cultivators of the same level. Of course, there were also many disadvantages. It was much harder for fiends to give birth to children than humans. Human parents were Yuanying cultivators, and on average, they could give birth to a child every 50 to 60 years. On the other hand, Yuanying fiends could only give birth to a child every 200 to 300 years. Furthermore, their cultivation speed was very slow, even slower than the fiends. For example, Shui Quan was already 4,000 years old, and had just cultivated to late-stage Yuanying. This talent was already top-notch among the fiends. Wang Daoyuan's cultivation speed was delayed by resources in his early years. Now that he had cultivated to the pinnacle of Yuanying, he was not even 400 years old. As for human heavenly spirit root cultivators, with sufficient resources, they could cultivate to late-stage Yuanying at less than 400 years old. The fiends' cultivation speed was slow, but they could use plunder to increase their cultivation speed. For example, the blood fiends could absorb the blood essence of fierce beasts to cultivate. And the Yin demons could devour the souls of other living beings to cultivate. With these methods, the fiends' cultivation speed greatly increased. There were similar resources in Absolute Heaven Abyss. Back then, when the fiends invaded Absolute Heaven Abyss, they brought many things similar to fiends, called fiend beasts. These fiend beasts could directly refine the chaotic energy in Absolute Heaven Abyss, and there were many types. Some fiend beasts were similar to fierce beasts, their bodies were extremely strong, but their intelligence was extremely low. Some of them were physically weak, but their souls were strong. These fiend beasts could be used as mounts for the fiends, and could also be used as food. Other than that, the fiends also brought some special spirit plants that could survive in Absolute Heaven Abyss's environment. These special spirit plants were also food for the fiends and fiend beasts. Young fiends could not avoid eating, they relied on eating these fiend beasts and spirit plants to survive. The fiend tribe that Shui Quan was in was not large. There were 4 Yuanying fiends, and 20 to 30 golden core fiends. This strength could be considered a top-notch faction in Beiyuan. However, this was the strength that they had accumulated over several thousand years. If not for the fact that Beiyuan could not produce Yuanying cultivators before, any major faction could defeat them. To the fiends, the environment in Absolute Heaven Abyss was also extremely harsh, the growth of special spirit plants was also not good. Therefore, the fiends' numbers had always been small. Like Shuequan's tribe, which occupied more than 30,000 miles of absolute heaven abyss, there were only several thousand blood fiends. Chapter 895. The absolute heaven abyss extended westward to the depths of the West Sea, and eastward to the east of the Demon Islands. The length of the absolute heaven abyss was incalculable, and there were many demons living in it. Wang Daoyuan had asked Sword Immortal Gui Yuan why he didn't kill all the demons. Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's explanation was that all the demons in the Qian Yuan world had been wiped out, but there were still demons outside the Qian Yuan world. The deepest part of the absolute heaven abyss led to the outside of the Qian Yuan world. Only a small number of the current demons were descendants of the demons who invaded back then. Most of them came from outside the Qian Yuan world. No one had the ability to block such a big crack in the absolute heaven abyss. Many earth immortals and mighty figures could only use arrays to block the erosion of the absolute heaven abyss from the north and south. If the demons could invade the Qian Yuan world, it meant that the location of the Qian Yuan world had been exposed. Even if all the demons were killed, there would still be new demons coming. Therefore, there could only be a powerful force to suppress the absolute heaven abyss. Sword Immortal Gui Yuan had this strength, and he had already passed away. In addition, the Heavenly Tao and other earth immortals and mighty figures feared him, so he became the person to suppress the absolute heaven abyss. Of course, these demons weren't fools. When they cultivated to the peak of Yuanying, they would pass through the crack in the deepest part of the absolute heaven abyss and break through to the semi-god realm outside the Qian Yuan world, and never come back. The absolute heaven abyss became a foothold for the demons to attack the Qian Yuan world, unless someone could block the absolute heaven abyss. Otherwise, the demons here would never be wiped out. After learning about the situation of the demons, he also helped Sword Immortal Gui Yuan recover some of his strength. With his current strength, he couldn't care about the demons at all. He simply left the absolute heaven abyss and returned to the Blood Shadow headquarters. His cultivation had reached the peak of Yuanying, and there was no hope for him to continue to improve in Beiyuan. If he wanted to break through to the semi-god realm, he had to go to the Sea of Seven Stars. Before leaving, he had to leave some backup plans. He didn't want his nest to be raided the moment he left. After returning to the Blood Shadow headquarters, he went to the courtyard where he and Zhou Wan lived. Zhou Wan was also in the small courtyard. When she saw him return, she was pleasantly surprised. Why did you go for a year? Absolute heaven abyss was abnormally dangerous. Among Bloodshadow's ancestors, quite a few had gone in to investigate before. Even a Yuanying cultivator would find it difficult to hold on for too long. If not for knowing that you have a secret realm on you that can last for a very long time in the absolute heaven abyss, I would have gone to look for you long ago. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Don't worry, how can I die so easily? Look, I'm perfectly fine now. I even made a breakthrough in my cultivation and became a peak Yuanying cultivator." His previous cultivation was still some distance away from the peak of Yuanying. It would take decades for Yuanying cultivators to raise their cultivation by even a little bit. Even if he had a heavenly spirit root, it was unlikely that he could raise his cultivation to the peak of Yuanying in such a short time. How did you do it? There was no spiritual energy in absolute heaven abyss at all. Those black chi were extremely violent. Even ferocious beasts with divine beast bloodlines couldn't withstand the impact of the black chi. Wang Daoyuan had a naughty smile on his face. My physical body isn't inferior to ferocious beasts. Others don't know this, but don't you know? Zhou Wan pinched his waist, causing Wang Daoyuan to grimace in pain. I'm talking to you about serious matters, don't interrupt. I found the place where Guiyuan's sword immortal passed away in meditation in absolute heaven abyss. His soul turned into the artifact spirit of the level 8 Guiyuan sword. Those earth immortals and powerhouses even set up a formation. They converted the black chi in absolute heaven abyss into heterogeneous spiritual energy to provide power for the Guiyuan sword, allowing it to suppress the devils in absolute heaven abyss. Also, Guiyuan's sword immortal's second disciple would go to absolute heaven abyss every 10,000 years to replenish his sword intent. Guiyuan's sword Immortals' soul had been preserved until now. When I was in Qixing Si Shuxin community, I received Guiyuan's sword Immortals' inheritance and even comprehended the Guiyuan's sword intent. Therefore, he also took me in as his third personal disciple. I used spiritual fire to help him refine the heterogeneous spiritual energy, allowing him to recover his spiritual energy. I also used the Guiyuan sword diagram that he left behind before he passed away to help him recover some of his sword intent. I also absorbed some high-level spiritual energy, and with Guiyuan's sword Immortals' guidance, I naturally broke through. Wang Daoyuan had also told Zhou Wan some things about Guiyuan's sword Immortal before, so he had some understanding of him. Hearing this, she was so shocked that she couldn't speak for a long time. Then she said, "The person who cut Mount Ancestral Dragon in half with one sword and created Absolute Heaven Abyss was actually your master? Is there even a need to say it? Not only am I the sword Immortal successor, I'm also the father of the Valley of Beasts sect master." Zhou Wan had a look of disdain, getting carried away with just a bit of ability. "I'm also the mother of the Valley of Beasts sect master." Now that we've finished talking about unimportant matters, let's talk about serious matters. Now that we're all Yuanian cultivators with remarkable abilities, our children will definitely have heavenly spirit roots. Moreover, there's a great chance that they'll have special constitutions. My bloodline is few in number, and I still want to spread my bloodline. Why don't we hurry up? A month later, Wang Daoyuan was forging a 3-inch long small sword in the courtyard. Zhou Wan usually had to deal with official business, so she stayed in the courtyard alone with nothing to do. His alchemy, smithing, and array skills had all reached the mid-grade of the 5th level. Only his talisman crafting skills had remained at the low grade of the 4th level. Since he didn't need to increase his cultivation now, he would spend some time improving his talisman crafting skills. With his current divine sense and cultivation, crafting a 4th level sword talisman couldn't be easier. He quickly refined the small sword into a magic tool. Just as he was about to inscribe runes, Zhou Wan brought 2 people into the courtyard. Wang Daoyuan knew both of them. One was Su Qinghe, the head of the Su family, and the other was Wang Tonglai, a disciple of the Wang family. Daoyuan, elder Su intends to marry into the Wang family. After all, I'm only the daughter-in-law of the Wang family, and with you here, I can't make the decision on my own. It's better for you to decide on this matter. I've brought them here. Su Qinghe and Wang Tonglai both bowed to him. Then Su Qinghe said with a smile, "Retired Emperor, I see that Wang Tonglai is a talented man, and his cultivation talent is also not bad. I have a daughter who's also in the late stage of the foundation establishment realm, and her talent is similar to Tonglai's, and they're about the same age. So I want to tie the knot and betroth my daughter to Tonglai. As Tonglai's elder, I naturally need your approval on this matter." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "The Su family is also one of us, so there's naturally no problem with a marriage alliance. Although I'm an elder, I can't force a junior on this matter. As long as Tonglai is willing, I naturally have no objections. Tonglai, what do you think?" When Wang Daoyuan said that the Su family was one of them, Su Qinghe also had a pleasantly surprised look on his face. Although the Wang family's foundation was relatively shallow, they had Wang Daoyuan, the #1 expert in Beiyuan, holding the fort. In addition, there was a huge amount of resources in the sky beheading mountain range, and the endless space for expansion in the East Sea. It wasn't impossible for them to surpass the other 4 top forces in the future. Now that they had a relationship with the Wang family, it was a matter of small capital and huge profits. Wang Tonglia's skin was still a bit thin, and he stammered for a long time before saying, "Great-grandson is willing." Su Qinghe was overjoyed. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "In that case, this matter is settled. As the great-grandfather, it's not suitable for me to personally handle this matter. As for how to prepare the marriage, Digong will be in charge. He's Tonglai's uncle, so his seniority is just right." Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, retired emperor. I'll bring Tonglai to invite Dao Yu Digong." Then, the 2 of them walked out of the small courtyard. This Su Qinghe really knows how to go with the flow. Now he's already calling Digong Dao Yu Digong. This child Tong Lai isn't bad either. He looks quite dull, but his actions aren't slow. He's only been apprenticed for a little more than a year, and he's already tricked senior sister. Zhou Wan glanced at him. How many honest people are there in the Wang family? Most of them are similar to you. They look like gentlemen, but they're actually full of evil tricks. Wang Daoyuan was unhappy. Isn't second brother an honest person? Which senior who met him didn't say that he's honest? Besides, you were the one who conspired against me first. Chapter 896. 10 days later, Wang Digong brought Wang Tonglai to the small courtyard. Seeing them come over, Wang Daoyuan asked, "What's wrong? Have you finished preparing Tonglia's wedding?" Wang Digong bowed. "There's no need for us to prepare anything. The residence for Tonglia's wedding was gifted by the Su clan. As for the other arrangements, they were also taken care of by the Su clan. The wedding date is set to be 3 months later. However, our Wang clan is still one of the top powers in the East. We need some betrothal gifts to marry the daughter of the Su clan master. I don't dare to make this decision on my own. Granduncle, please make the decision." Wang Daoyuan said, "If our Wang clan wants to gain a foothold in Blood Shadow, we need people to support us. The Zhang clan isn't on good terms with us. Those cultivators who aren't direct descendants are like a sheet of loose sand and can be easily roped in. If we want to gain the support of more than half of Blood Shadow's cultivators, we need to do our best to rope them in. Su Qinghe has even prepared a residence for the wedding. This shows his sincerity. The Su clan's ancestor was the founder of Blood Shadow and has tens of thousands of years of history. Since they've shown their sincerity, we can't be too shabby." He took out a few storage pouches from the space within the Spirit Pearl. "Here are 3 mid-grade 4th-grade defensive magic tools and 6 low-grade 4th-grade defensive magic tools. There are also 100 purple cloud pills, 2 purple cloud wood cores, and 50 jade marrow origin fostering pills. In addition, there are also 20 jugs of 100-year-old 4th-grade spirit wine, 100 fruit wine. These gifts could allow 2 foundation establishment cultivators to establish their Violet Palace and allow 1 person to withstand the core formation heavenly tribulation. Even if he was marrying a peak Violet Palace realm female cultivator, it would still be a generous gift. This was also to set an example for the other elders of Blood Shadow. It was to tell them that as long as they followed the Wang clan, they would be able to eat meat." Looking at the storage pouches in Wang Daoyuan's hands, Wang Digong and Wang Tonglai were a bit stunned. They knew the value of these things. A Violet Palace realm cultivator who was proficient in pills, tools, and talisman formations would struggle their entire lives to earn so many things. Now that he was marrying a late foundation establishment woman, he was taking out such a generous gift. Wang Tonglai quickly said, "Thank you for your generosity, but it's just your great-grandson's wedding. It's not worth spending so much money on it." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "There's no need for that. This thing isn't just a betrothal gift, it's also a sign of our Wang family's attitude towards the Blood Shadow elders. Let them know that as long as they are willing to submit to the Wang clan, there will be many benefits." Wang Tonglai thanked him profusely and left the courtyard with Wang Digong. They went to the Su family to present the betrothal gifts. 3 months passed quickly, and the day of the wedding had arrived. Wang Tonglai led a few disciples of the Wang family to carry the bridal sedan chair to the Su family's main spiritual mountain in the north of the city, according to the rules of the Wang family. Those who participated in this matter were all cultivators, so their speed was naturally not slow. 15 minutes later, everyone returned to the residence in the northern part of Blood Shadow City. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were already waiting for them in the courtyard. The Su family was quite generous. This house had 3 courtyards, and there were 2 side courtyards on both sides of the main courtyard. In a place like Blood Shadow City, any small courtyard was worth a lot, let alone a large courtyard like this. Although Beiyuan Xiuxian did not have the custom of bowing to the heavens and earth, there were still rules for newlyweds to bow to their elders. After the 2 of them greeted Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan, they entered the bridal chamber. There was a banquet in the courtyard. Most of the Blood Shadow elders who were not direct descendants were present. The Su family sent a few elders to send the bride off. The Zhang family was not on good terms with the Wang family and the Su family, so Zhang Dingming only sent a golden core cultivator from his grandson's generation to congratulate them. Wang Daoyuan led Zhou Wan to the courtyard. He picked up a cup of wine and cupped his hands to everyone. Today is the day that my great-grandson, Wang Tonglai, is marrying the daughter of the Su family's patriarch. Thank you for coming. The most powerful cultivator in Beiyuan was toasting, so the guests naturally did not dare to delay. They all stood up and drank their cups. After the toast, Wang Daoyuan said, I still have important matters to attend to, so I can't stay for long. Digong will take care of everyone on my behalf. He and Zhou Wan were both Yuanian cultivators. Naturally, they could not personally receive these golden core elders. The two of them walked out of the courtyard. Wang Digong and a few Su family cultivators helped to receive the guests. Wang Daoyuan returned to the courtyard of the Zhou mansion, while Zhou Wan went to take care of business. The next day, Su Qinghe came again with a young man behind him. This young man looked very similar to Su Qinghe. He was at the middle stage of the Zifu realm. Moreover, he was a wind-type cultivator. When the two of them saw Wang Daoyuan, they bowed. Wang Daoyuan smiled and asked, Our families are in-laws. There's no need to be so polite. Elder Su, what brings you here? Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, This is my son, Su Yifeng. My wife gave birth to 3 children. Yifeng is my second son. In the future, the position of the Su family head will naturally be inherited by the eldest son. Although this child's talent is slightly inferior to his elder brother, he still has a wind spiritual root of 8.6 inches. Moreover, he is extremely intelligent and handles matters well. If he becomes an idle elder in the future, it will be a waste of his talent. I want to ask for a future for Yifeng and let him go to the Yen kingdom to ask for a job. This was a bit interesting. Any big family would have a few backup plans. It was not uncommon for a family to have many branches. For example, the Zhou family was divided into many small countries. Their clansmen were all over Beiyuan. Even in the southern wasteland, there were many demonic cultivators surnamed Zhou. It could be said that as long as the Beiyuan human clan did not perish, the Zhou family's bloodline would not be cut off. When Su Qinghe proposed to establish a branch in the Yen kingdom, it was a bit of a show of allegiance. Moreover, this Su Yifeng's talent was not weak. The 3 strange spiritual roots were not a single spiritual root. The probability of having a wind spiritual root of 9 inches and above was extremely low. 8.6 inches was already an extremely high talent. It seemed that the Su family also attached great importance to this backup plan. In the Wang family's territory, a quarter of Shanbei and 2/3 of Linhai could be settled in other families. The territory was big enough, but they were all in a state of lack of manpower. A large number of spirit veins were not taken care of. Even if there were resources, they could not be developed. Those who were willing to join the Wang family could completely establish their power in those territories. If Su Yifeng worked in the Yen kingdom, he could also pull the relationship between the two families. For the two families, this was a win-win situation. The Wang family gave the Su family a way out, and the Su family paved the way for the Wang family to lead the Blood Shadow. Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment and said, working in the Yen kingdom is naturally not a problem. There are still a lot of empty territories in the Yen kingdom. We have a quarter of Shanbei's territory and hundreds of rank 4 spirit veins. In time, these spirit veins have the potential to grow to rank 5. Shanbei has been ravaged by demon beasts, but no one has developed the spirit veins. The Yen kingdom has been recruiting rogue cultivators. If you make a contribution, you can get the spirit veins. With little friend Yifeng's talent and strength, plus the relationship between our two families, we can easily give him a rank 4 spirit vein. It's not a problem to give them a level 4 spirit vein directly. It's just right for the Su family to expand in the north of the mountain. Hearing this, Su Qinghe's face was full of excitement. Thank you for your grace, Grand Emperor. Yifeng, quickly thank Grand Emperor. Su Qinghe also had a plan in mind. The resources and properties of the Blood Shadow were mostly public property of the Blood Shadow headquarters. Although he was in a high position, he did not directly control many resources. If he wanted to use the resources, he still had to wrangle with the Zhang family. Now that he could get a rank 4 spirit vein that had the potential to grow to rank 5, his development potential was much stronger than the underground cave of the Blood Shadow headquarters. In the future, when the Wang family disciples entered the Blood Shadow headquarters in large numbers, they would definitely have a very high voice. This thing was not like other things. If the Wang family took more, the other factions would naturally take less. In the long run, his voice in the Blood Shadow would also be damaged. Going against the Wang family was courting death. He might as well take the initiative to give up the voice. In the future, the Su family could completely focus on the Yan kingdom. The Blood Shadow headquarters could just be a branch and maintain its existence. This way, they could ensure that there would be no conflict with the Wang family and also obtain more benefits. Chapter 897. Su Yifeng bowed. Thank you for your grace, Your Majesty. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. You don't have to be so courteous. With little friend Yifeng's strength, as long as you make contributions, it won't be a problem for you to become a hereditary count. I can only help you this much. The future of the Su family is up to you. Among the forces under the Wang family, only the half-demons, the Gu family and Zhao family of Linhai State, as well as Zhong Zhenyang and the remaining forces of the Netherworld sect and the Cruel Sun Palace could be put on the table. These forces weren't close to the Wang family, and close families like the Yang family really didn't have any. With Su Yifeng's talent and the Su family's tens of thousands of years of history, core formation was only a matter of time. In the future, the Su family would also become an influential force in the Yan kingdom. He took out a communication jade talisman and sent a message to Wang Daojian through Blood Shadow's channels. He told him to tell Wang Mingchen about the marriage between the Su family and the Wang family, as well as the future arrangements. Su Qinghe and his father chatted for a while before taking their leave. This time, the Su family was completely on the Wang family's boat. Most of the non-direct elders also supported Zhou Wan. For example, Zhang Yu was a hardcore supporter of Zhou Wan. He had been the second elder for so many years, so he could always rope in some people. Even if the Zhang family could rope in some non-direct elders, the Wang family's elders still had the upper hand. According to Blood Shadow's rules, the branch could send a batch of people to the headquarters every 10 years. When there was a suitable core formation clansman to manage the Shanbei branch, Wang Daojian could be transferred over. At that time, the Wang family would have their own elders here. After settling the relationship with the Su family, Wang Daoyuan continued to refine talismans. This talisman was to inscribe runes on a magic tool token. Wang Daoyuan was a 5th-tier mid-grade blacksmith, so it wasn't a problem for him to refine a 4th-tier mid-grade magic tool. He hadn't refined a spirit talisman for more than 100 years. In the past few months, he had refined 4th-tier low-grade sword talismans several times, which could be considered a warm-up. It only took him 4 hours to refine a 3-inch-long middle-grade 4th-tier magic tool token. After all, the artifact talisman was not an offensive or defensive artifact. After it was refined, it was not a big deal if it was not placed in the artifact cauldron to be nurtured. After it was refined, it could be directly inscribed with runes. Wang Daoyuan planned to refine the Water Dragon Talisman. Once this talisman was activated, it would be able to unleash the Wang family's Water Dragon technique. The runes of the Water Dragon Talisman were something that he had deduced himself. Using spells to deduce runes and using runes to deduce spells was the foundation of a talisman master. Wang Daoyuan had quite a few talisman legacies in his possession. Apart from the talismans given to him by his master, Daoist Lei Yan, there were also legacies from the Valley of Beasts. The inheritances in the Valley of Beasts were all-encompassing. Elixir, artifact, talisman arrays, spirit plant farmers, and other inheritances were all very advanced. In terms of spirit talisman inheritance, he was especially good at beast soul talismans. After all, the territory of the Valley of Beasts was the East Sea and the Sky/Mountain Range, both of which were places with many demonic beasts. If he wanted to obtain a beast soul, it was the most suitable place. Compared to dermic and sword talismans, the beast soul talisman had its own uniqueness. Because it was using the soul of a demonic beast to cast the corresponding innate spell and even divine ability, its power naturally far surpassed that of ordinary dermic and sword talismans. The beast soul talisman could also be used multiple times and was very easy to refine. Of course, the beast soul talisman was not without its flaws. As long as the beast soul talisman was used, the soul of the demonic beast inside would be depleted. The more depleted it was, the weaker the power of the beast soul talisman would be. Usually, after 5 or 6 uses, the beast soul talisman would lose its value. There were too many things that the soul of a demonic beast could do and its value was not low. Furthermore, the soul of the demonic beast used to refine the beast soul talisman could not be too ordinary. As such, the price was too great. With the soul of a high-level demonic beast, wouldn't it be more valuable to refine a puppet than a beast soul talisman? Of course, this beast soul talisman was still worth it. At the very least, the power of the first 2 uses would be superior to dermic talismans of the same level. Furthermore, Wang Daoyuan had some other ideas. If he used the yellow spring willow wood to refine the beast soul talisman, would there be any miraculous effects? The yellow spring willow wood could nurture souls, and the puppet core refined from it could allow the soul of the puppet to exist for many years. Just like the puppets in the Ziwei Palace of the 7 Stars Secret Realm, they could still function after tens of thousands of years. After his talisman crafting level reached the 5th level, he could modify the method of refining puppets into a beast soul talisman that could be used continuously. Of course, in addition to the beast soul talisman in the Valley of Beasts, there were other talisman inheritances. Although the dermic talismans were not as good as the snow-freezing talisman of the Wind Snow Deity Palace, there were still many powerful talismans. Now, Wang Daoyuan's divine sense cultivation had reached a point where few below the soul formation realm could match him. It was too easy to inscribe a mid-grade 4th-level weapon pattern. It only took him half a day to complete it. After that, Wang Daoyuan spent another 3 years refining talismans. His talisman crafting level had finally reached the lower grade of the 5th level. Wang Daoyuan had also asked the tool spirit of the 10,000 Spirits Tower about the 4 paths of alchemy, artifact, and talisman arrays. This saying was true. It would be very convenient for him to comprehend the inscriptions of law in the future if he mastered all 4 paths. If he could upgrade all 4 paths to the 6th level, he would not need to waste time to comprehend them at all. With Wang Daoyuan's cultivation at the peak of the Yuanying realm and his powerful divine sense, as long as he practiced enough, he could upgrade all 4 paths to the 6th level. Unfortunately, there were no 6th level materials in Beijing Shuxian, and he only had a few 6th level materials. Just as he was about to continue refining talismans, Zhou Wan walked into the courtyard with a happy face. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Shadow Master, why are you back so early? Looking at your happy face, did you find a spirit stone?" Zhou Wan said angrily, "Am I so useless? As for why I'm so happy, you can guess. Could it be that Mingchen is going to get married? That's not right. If he likes someone, he will definitely tell me. You always boast that you're smart, but why are you so stupid now? You've always wanted Ergu, and now you have him." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was stunned, and then he was overjoyed. He asked, "You're pregnant again?" Zhou Wan nodded, and Wang Daoyuan took her into his arms. "Old Wang's family can have children again. It's just that you've worked hard. Is the second son a boy or a girl?" "I'm just pregnant. Who can tell if it's a boy or a girl? It's just that the second son and third son have to have a daughter. Mingchen is too busy, and it's hard for me, as his mother, to see him. If we have a daughter, she won't have to manage your affairs and can stay by my side." Wang Daoyuan did not react for a moment. He was stunned for a while before he asked, "Two?" Zhou Wan nodded proudly. Wang Daoyuan was so happy that he almost fainted. Yuanying cultivators were pregnant with twins. He did not even dare to think about it. This was also a restriction of the heavenly Tao. The higher the cultivation of the parents, the more talented the offspring would be. If it was easy to give birth, then wouldn't everyone in the world be a genius? Therefore, the higher the cultivation, the more difficult it was to give birth. The situation of a golden core cultivator giving birth to twins was 1 in 100. A nascent soul cultivator giving birth to twins. Even back then, when soul formation cultivators were everywhere, it was still a rare occurrence. Wang Daoyuan was so excited that he did not know what to do. We can't be careless about the pregnancy. I'll send a message to the family and ask 8th sister to come and take care of you. He has given birth to a few children, so he's more experienced in this aspect. His culinary skills are also very good. He's much better than the two of us, so you won't be greedy. With that, he took out his communication jade talisman. Through Blood Shadow's channels, he sent a message to Wang Daojian. It just so happened that there was a 5th-tier low-grade flying warship in Clear Glass City that had been refined before. Taking the flying warship, they could reach Blood Shadow's headquarters in 3 to 5 days. Wang Daoyuan also asked Jia Qi to come along as a bodyguard. The main reason was that he wanted to put him into the space of the spirit pearl to cultivate. There were puppets and clones guarding the family, so there was no need for him to do anything. If he put him in the space of the spirit pearl for a few years, he should be able to break through to late-stage yuanying. At that time, he would let him oversee the family and not have to worry about the family's matters. Chapter 898. 4 days later, a low-grade 5th-grade flying warship flying the Dragonfish flag arrived at Blood Shadow's headquarters. Wang Digong brought the people to Zhou Mansion's small courtyard. His 8th sister, Wang Daoshu, and his clone, Jia Qi, were on the flying ship. As soon as she entered the courtyard, she smiled and said, "Congratulations, 7th brother and 7th sister-in-law. There aren't many cultivators who can conceive twins. Yuanying cultivators who conceive twins are even rarer. Our Wang clan now has 2 more heavenly spirit roots. I'm an amateur when it comes to pregnancy, so I can only ask for your help. It just so happens that you're quite accomplished in the way of spirit chef, so I'll leave Zhou Wan's daily needs to you. Oh right, how's your cultivation technique conversion going? Then I'll be basking in 7th sister-in-law's glory. The matter of changing my cultivation method was completed 3 years ago. My cultivation speed has greatly increased in the past few years, at least much faster than Zhao Liang's, but not as fast as uncle's. However, I'll still need 10 more years to reach the peak of the Zifu realm. I've prepared quite a few high-grade spirit items for you to eat and increase your cultivation. When the child is born, your cultivation will more or less reach the peak of the Zifu realm." With that said, he took out 2 storage pouches from the space within the spirit pearl. There are 250 kilograms of purple gold sprouts, as well as onion, ginger, garlic, and other seasonings. He then took out 2 jugs of wine. These are 2 jugs of low-grade 4th-grade royal jelly. Finally, he took out a sea cucumber with 7 star patterns. This is a star-patterned sea cucumber. It's no different from ordinary sea cucumbers. With that said, he directly killed the sea cucumber and took out a 5th-grade monster core. Although the star-patterned sea cucumber wasn't large, it was a true 5th-grade monster core. Its combat strength was basically trash, but 8th sister's late-stage Zifu realm strength wasn't its match at all. He then took out a low-grade 5th-grade kitchen knife. This is a kitchen knife magic tool I refined for you. Although you won't be able to use much of your strength, it's extremely sharp. You'll even be able to cut the meat of a 5th-grade monster. As for the seasonings, I've already had Digong and the others prepare them. If you need anything, you can go find Tong Lai's wife, Sui Hui. She grew up here, so she should be able to find anything here. You've had a long journey, so you should take a rest first. This kitchen knife was refined by Wang Daoyuan using 4th-tier high-grade blacksmithing materials 2 days ago. It could be considered as practice. Eighth sister's face was full of surprise. I usually don't eat purple gold sprout millet very often, but you gave me 500 caddies in one go. I've never seen a 5th grade sea cucumber before. As for this kitchen knife, he had never heard that it was at the 5th level. With such a good thing in front of me, how could I be in the mood to rest? I'll take care of these things right away. Wang Daoyuan plucked a dozen star fruits from the spiritual bead and gave them to Zhou Wan as snacks. Right now, it was not suitable for her to eat food with obvious attributes of the 5 elements, so as to avoid affecting the fetus's spirit root. The power of the stars contained in the stellar fruit was a combination of yin and yang qi, so it had no attributes. It also had the effect of harmonizing the 5 elements. It was perfect for nurturing the fetus. Previously, Zhou Wan had always wanted to drink the 100-fruit wine, but now, she definitely couldn't drink it. The most important ingredient of the 100-fruit wine was the stellar fruit, so eating some fruits could also satisfy her cravings. With Wang Daoshu here to take care of their daily needs, Wang Daoyuan was much more relaxed. In addition to accompanying Zhou Wan to relieve her boredom, he also had time to improve his talisman crafting skills. Zhou Wan was worried that Zhang Dingming would play dirty tricks, so she had to deal with the Blood Shadow's official business every day. In fact, there was nothing to worry about. Wang Daoyuan was here, and he could kill him with a slap at any time. For his own life, he didn't dare to play too big at this time. As for sneaky actions, with Zhang Yu and Su Qinghe around, he couldn't play any tricks. 2 years passed quickly, and Wang Daoyuan's talisman crafting skills had improved to the mid-grade of the 5th level. When she gave birth to Wang Mingchen, she was pregnant for a little more than 2 years. Now, 2 years had passed, and Wang Daoyuan didn't allow Zhou Wan to manage the Blood Shadow's official business anymore. She could focus on nurturing the fetus at home. Cultivators could see inside themselves, and the gender of the 2 children had long been seen. They were fraternal twins. Wang Daoyuan didn't care about anything else and focused on accompanying Zhou Wan. A month later, Zhou Wan suddenly had abdominal pain, and Wang Daoyuan hurriedly helped her into the room. 8th sister was cutting vegetables, and she quickly put down her work. Although it wasn't easy for a cultivator to have problems giving birth, they still had to take it seriously. Wang Tonglie's cultivation partner, Sui Hui, also often came here to help. At this time, she happened to be in the Zhou mansion and also entered the room to help. Su Qinghe was a shrewd person. Naturally, he wouldn't let go of the opportunity to get close. He often asked Sui Hui to send some supplements and ingredients. Wang Daoyuan couldn't help in this matter, so he could only wait outside. However, he didn't panic. The current conditions were much better than when Wang Mingchen was born. More than 2 hours later, crying came from the room. A moment later, Sui Hui came out with a baby in her arms. "Congratulations, great-grandpa, this is a little granduncle." Wang Daoyuan took the baby in his arms. Perhaps it was because they were related by blood. When the baby was in his arms, the crying gradually stopped. Wang Tonglai and the others also came to the small courtyard. Hearing this, they smiled and said, "Greetings, little granduncle." Wang Mingchen's nickname was already decided when he was born. He was called Ergo. A quarter of an hour later, crying came from the room again. Then, Sui Hui came out with the baby in her arms. "This is a little grandaunt." Wang Tonglai and the others cheered again. "Greetings, little grandaunt." Wang Daoyuan took his daughter. Like Ergo, the baby stopped crying as soon as she was in his arms. He held the baby in each hand and weighed them. Ergo was slightly heavier, weighing more than 5 kilograms. His daughter was slightly lighter, weighing less than 5 kilograms. Wang Daoyuan walked into the room with the 2 babies in his arms. After eating good food for more than 2 years, it seems that the effects are quite good. Although the 2 babies are a bit small, their vitality is very strong, not inferior to when Mingchen was just born. Zhou Wan's face was slightly pale, but she was in good spirits. Looking at the 2 babies, she asked, "You've already decided on a nickname for your son. What's your daughter's name?" She can't be the same as her two brothers, can she? How about Sanya? Anyway, it's just the two of us. A cheap name is easy to raise. Zhou Wan looked at him disdainfully. Forget it. With your naming skills, you can't come up with any good names. Our children's spiritual roots must be quite talented. Let's see the attributes of their spiritual roots. He spread out his domain and gathered 2 spiritual auras of the 5 elements, enveloping them respectively. Soon, the spiritual aura of the metal element and the spiritual aura enveloping ergo decreased significantly. There was no doubt that this little guy had a metal element spiritual root. The spiritual aura of the wood element and the spiritual aura enveloping Sanya also decreased significantly. She should have a wood element spiritual root. Both parents were Yuanian cultivators. Their children could only have celestial spiritual roots or penta spiritual roots. Penta spiritual roots were extremely rare. Once they appeared, they must be in a balanced or even completely balanced state. Their talents were even stronger than ordinary celestial spiritual roots. Since both of the babies had single spiritual roots, they must have celestial spiritual roots. Ergo has a metal element spiritual root. Sanya has a wood element spiritual root. It's a pity that neither of them inherited my balanced penta spiritual roots. Zhou Wan hurriedly said, "Don't you have the secret technique of the Valley of Beasts? Hurry up and test if these 2 babies have special constitutions." We're both Yuanian cultivators and have inherited bloodlines. The probability of our children having special constitutions is very high. Wang Daoyuan nodded. This secret technique wouldn't cause any harm to the babies' bodies. He condensed 2 white jade-colored lights and shone them on the 2 babies. A sharp aura came out of Ergo's body like sword aura. If there was an abnormality, they must have special constitutions, and definitely not spiritual ones. Sanya's body was covered in a very thin layer of green mist, which was consistent with a spiritual body. But this light mist also contained vitality, which was something that a wood element spiritual body didn't have. Both of the babies have special constitutions. Ergo's isn't a spiritual body. It might be related to the path of sword cultivation. Sanya's constitution is like a wood element spiritual body, but it has a pure vitality, which isn't exactly the same as a spiritual body. Chapter 899. Hearing that the 2 children had special constitutions, Zhou Wan said proudly, "All 3 of my children have celestial spiritual roots and special constitutions. Unlike you, it took you decades to awaken a small magical power, and you still have to rely on my guidance." Wang Daoyuan had long been accustomed to her habit of insulting herself whenever she was happy. He didn't argue with her. He took out some milk powder made from long-eared rabbit milk, condensed water with water spiritual energy, and fed it to the 2 little guys. Ergo and Sanya deserved to have special constitutions. Their appetite was comparable to that of a 1-year-old child. After eating, they fell asleep. Sanya looked more like Zhou Wan. She was very quiet when she fell asleep. Although Ergo was still small and had almost no ability to move, his limbs moved from time to time. He didn't stop for a moment. In terms of appearance, he looked more like Wang Daoyuan. Zhou Wan stared at the 2 children for a long time. "My daughter looks more like me. Ergo is not easy to deal with. When they grow up, they will probably be like you, running around all day." Both of them have celestial spiritual roots. There is no need to wait until they are 10 years old to enter the family tree. Let's give them names now. Wang Daoyuan nodded. It will be a bit difficult to name them. Although there are not many people in the Ming generation, there are still hundreds of them. They are too young and are ranked in the 300s. All the good names have been used. After thinking for a long time, he said, "Since Ergo was born with a sharp aura, he will probably walk the path of a sword cultivator in the future. Let's call him Wang Mingren. Sanya looks like the hall master. When she grows up, she will definitely be like a fairy. Let's call her Wang Mingxian." Wang Daoyuan named his daughter and praised Zhou Wan. She was very happy. The names you gave the children are not bad. At least they sound like the names of cultivators. Zhou Wan had just given birth, so she was still a bit weak. After chatting for a while, she felt a bit tired. Wang Daoyuan then left the hut to let her rest. A few Wang clan disciples were still chatting and laughing in the courtyard. When they saw Wang Daoyuan walk out, they asked him all sorts of questions. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Your granduncle and grandaunt are both asleep. You juniors should do what you need to do. Don't disturb your elders' sleep." Wang Tonglai smiled and said, "Your grandson bids farewell to granduncle and grandaunt." After that, they all left the small courtyard. Wang Daoshu freshened up and began to prepare food for Zhou Wan. In the past 2 years, Zhou Wan had eaten a lot of delicacies. Wang Daoyuan also went out to hunt vicious beasts and demonic beasts. He also asked the Yan Kingdom to search for seafood in the sea and send it over by flying boat. After all, Blood Shadow had a foundation of more than 70,000 years and had a lot of rare spirit plants. As a chef, Wang Daoshu naturally ate a lot. His progress in cultivation was also extremely fast. The results of these 2 years of cultivation were comparable to 10 years of cultivation in the past. He was not far from the peak of the Purple Mansion realm. Half a day later, Zhou Wan woke up. Wang Daoshu had already prepared a pot of sea cucumber porridge and brought it over. The 2 little fellows had also inherited Zhou Wan's teachings. As soon as they smelled the food, they immediately woke up. Wang Daoyuan also prepared some rabbit milk powder to feed the 2 little fellows. The 2 little fellows slept after eating and wet the bed when they fell asleep. As a cultivator at the peak of the Yuanying realm, he still had to wash the children's diapers. However, it was more convenient to have Dharma spells. A water-type Dharma spell was enough to wash them clean. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The 2 little fellows' physiques were not inferior to Wang Mingqian's at all. They could walk before they were half a year old. Now that they were 1 year old, they could speak very clearly. Because they were not the eldest son or daughter, there was no big banquet. It was just that the Su clan, Zhangyu, and a few other elders sent some gifts. Wang Daoyuan hosted a small banquet to entertain them. Now, the 2 little fellows' mobility was already very strong, and their interests and hobbies were beginning to show. Wang Mingxian was more gentle and quiet, and her biggest hobby was taking care of spirit plants. Wang Daoyuan specially opened up a 3-foot square spirit field in the small courtyard and planted some spirit grains. She played around the spirit field all day long. Wang Mingren was somewhat disgusted by dogs. He held a small wooden stick and chopped here and there. He often destroyed Wang Mingxian's spirit field, and the siblings couldn't help but quarrel. Of course, the final result was that Wang Mingren suffered. But this guy refused to change. No matter how many times he was beaten, he didn't learn his lesson. Wang Daoyuan also refined a wooden dummy and used 2nd-grade spirit wood to carve a short sword for Wang Mingren. This time, he found the meaning of his dog life. He used a short sword to chop wooden dummies all day long. His muscles and bones were stronger, so Wang Daoyuan also taught him some of the most basic sword techniques. From the looks of it, he was a good seedling to walk the path of a sword cultivator. Half a year ago, Wang Daoshu's cultivation had already reached the peak of the late-stage Violet Palace realm. She was only a little bit away from the peak of the Violet Palace realm. In the past half a year, Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan had been constantly teaching her. With the guidance of 2 Yuanying cultivators, her comprehension had greatly improved. Wang Mingren was a little tired after chopping the wooden dummy dozens of times. He carried his wooden sword and came to Wang Daoyuan to rest. At this moment, Wang Daoshu walked out of her room. 7th brother, 7th sister-in-law, I've finally reached the peak of the Violet Palace realm. Wang Daoyuan took out an azure jade sparrow with a wingspan of more than 6 meters from the space in the spiritual pearl. The materials for the artificial Violet Palace realm phenomenon have already been prepared. First, familiarize yourself with the secret technique to separate the soul. I'll go and process this thing. Half a day later, the soul was processed. Wang Daoyuan finished processing the azure jade sparrow's blood essence and began to use the secret technique. He had already used the secret technique twice, so it wasn't difficult. There weren't any problems with the transfer of the azure jade sparrow's soul, so the rest was up to Wang Daoshu. 3 days later, a ball of dark green wood attribute spiritual energy appeared in the sky above the small courtyard. Soon after, the ball of spiritual energy transformed into a dark green sparrow with a long tail. It was the azure jade sparrow. It circled the courtyard a few times before flying into the room where Wang Daoshu was in seclusion. The artificial violet palace realm phenomenon could be considered complete. All that was left was to slowly nurture it. Half a day later, Wang Daoshu walked out with a face full of joy. She excitedly said, "I have a violet palace realm phenomenon, and I've also comprehended wood attribute laws." It seemed that forming an artificial violet palace realm phenomenon after reaching the peak of the violet palace realm wasn't an exception. Wang Daoyuan took out a storage bag and said, "Inside this bag are 1 gold formation pill, 1 jade needle white jade pine nut, and 3 pieces of low-grade and middle-grade 4th-tier defensive mystic artifacts. When you're ready, you can form your core at any time." The first jade needle white jade pine nut he had obtained back then had produced 3 pine cones and 9 pine nuts. Eighth sister's talent wasn't very good, so it wasn't very stable to form her core. These pine nuts could also increase the success rate of forming her core. With the two added together, it shouldn't be a problem. Wang Daoshu took the storage pouch. "I've eaten a lot of good food in the past 3 years. My body's condition is already very good. There's no need to make any more adjustments." Zhou Wan smiled and said, "There's a special place for tribulation transcendence in the Blood Shadow headquarters. I'll let Digong take you there. Daoyuan, you go and protect 8th sister." Soon, Wang Digong arrived at the small courtyard. He brought the two of them out of Blood Shadow City and headed west. When they arrived at the westernmost part of the underground space, there was a small secret realm that was less than 100 miles in diameter. Although it wasn't big, the spirit veins inside were quite good. There was a peak 4th grade non-elemental spirit vein. This secret realm was mainly used for tribulation transcendence. There were only some ordinary spirit herbs inside. Wang Daoshu arrived at the center of the secret realm and sat cross-legged on a huge rock. Soon, she began to absorb a large amount of spirit qi. This process would last for half a year. Wang Daoyuan had nothing to do, so he took some time to improve his refining skills. Half a year passed quickly. A gold core projection with a diameter of 3.5 inches appeared in the air. With 8th sister's talent, it was normal for her to have a 3-inch gold core. When the gold core projection landed, 8th sister's aura rapidly increased. Soon, she reached the early stage gold core level. Chapter 900. After the golden core appeared, the core formation heavenly tribulation would follow. Wang Daoyuan was not worried about this. With 8th sister's talent, it was already very difficult for her to form her core. The heavenly tribulation would not have any special lightning, so the 9 heavenly tribulations should be relatively weak. The Dharma artifacts given to him were already enough to resist the heavenly tribulation. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the mystic realm and sent a message to Zhou Wan, asking her to bring the 2 children here. Although 8th sister's gift of heaven and earth was not strong, it was still very effective for children who had not started cultivating. It had some effect of increasing the talent of one's spiritual root, but the main effect was to improve one's physique. A dark cloud appeared in the sky and quickly expanded. It stopped when it was more than 15 kilometers in diameter. The Dharma artifacts given to her by Wang Daoyuan were more than enough to resist the heavenly tribulation. After 15 minutes, the first round of the heavenly tribulation fell. The 3 heavenly tribulations could not destroy the first defensive Dharma artifact. Soon, all 9 heavenly tribulations fell. Among the defensive Dharma artifacts that Wang Daoyuan had prepared for her, there were still 2 mid-grade tier 4 ones that had not been used. She was also unharmed. Zhou Wan brought the 2 children to the center of the mystic realm. When Wang Daoshu saw the two children, she took out some pastries from her storage bag. Bright blade, bright fairy, come to 8th aunt. As soon as the two little fellows saw food, they forgot everything else. They let go of Zhou Wan's hand and ran to Wang Daoshu. They were already 1.5 years old. Their bones were much stronger than before, and they were very energetic when they ran. Especially when they saw delicious food, they were even more energetic. They each took a few pieces of pastries and gnawed on them with their baby teeth that were not fully grown yet. The dark clouds in the sky had turned into golden auspicious clouds. Golden raindrops fell, mainly around Wang Daoshu. When the two children saw the food, they did not care if it was raining or not. They sat in Wang Daoshu's arms and slowly ate the pastries. They also absorbed a lot of golden raindrops. After the gift of heaven and earth ended, the two of them also finished the pastries. After receiving the gift of heaven and earth, there would not be any obvious changes in the short term. The two children naturally did not have any reaction. The group returned to the Zhou family's courtyard in Blood Shadow City. Wang Daoshu continued to look after the two children, while Wang Daoyuan began to improve his blacksmithing skills. Over the past few years, he had been refining blacksmithing talismans, and had greatly improved his blacksmithing skills. It shouldn't be too much of a problem for him to refine a high-grade Tier 5 magic tool now. He did not have blacksmithing. Among magic tools of the same grade, long swords without any special functions were always the simplest, and the materials used were also relatively fewer. Wang Daoyuan also took out a piece of Tier 5 Great Unity Divine Gold and prepared to refine an origin returning sword. He was blacksmithing. Blackie. Was blacken, and be blackoff blacken was. With the help of the Xian Cauldron Spirit, it should not be a problem. Wang Daoyuan took out the Xian Cauldron and began to forge the blacken in the main room of the courtyard. He did not set up a formation to hide the sound of his forging. Wang Mingxian was not interested in the sound of blacksmithing. She even felt that it was a little noisy. Wang Mingren was different. When he heard the sound of blacksmithing, he became energized and insisted on entering the room to watch. However, Zhou Wan was still very dignified. Wang Mingren was terrified with just one look. Wang Daoshu took out some snacks and successfully diverted his attention. Wang Daoyuan was also considered to be familiar with the process. He only used 2 days and refined a Tier 5 high-grade origin returning sword. It was his first time forging a blacken. There were still some flaws, but it was not a big problem. Afterward, he placed the blacken into the Xian Cauldron and stored it in the space of the Spirit Pearl. With Jia Qi in the space of the Spirit Pearl, he did not need to worry about the blacken. Jia Qi had also stayed in the space of the Spirit Pearl for 3.5 years. According to the time inside the Spirit Pearl, it had been about 300 years. He had 5 spiritual roots. The highest was the water spiritual root, which was 2.25 inches, and the lowest was the earth spiritual root, which was 1.5 inches. This cultivation talent was already comparable to the slightly inferior celestial spiritual roots. Moreover, as his cultivation increased, after reaching the Yuanian realm, his cultivation talent surpassed that of the celestial spiritual roots. Needless to say, his cultivation technique was exactly the same as Wang Daoyuan's. It was just that the seed of spiritual power was not spiritual fire. In the space of the Spirit Pearl, there were enough pills and spiritual energy was at the level of a level 5 spiritual vein. Naturally, his cultivation speed was not slow. Now, his cultivation had reached the late stage of the Yuanian realm. Coincidentally, Wang Daoyuan's blacksmithing skills had also reached the peak of the 5th level. He wanted to help him reforge the blacken cauldron. 3 days later, the nourishment of the Sword of Origin was completed. Wang Daoyuan took it out of the space of the Spirit Pearl. A murderous aura emanated from it, enveloping the entire Blood Shadow City. Zhang Dingming and Zhang Yu were handling official business when their faces suddenly changed. Zhang Dingming took a deep breath. What a strong murderous aura. Only the retired emperor can have such a strong murderous aura. With my strength, the difference between me and the retired emperor is like heaven and earth. In the courtyard of the Zhou residence, Zhou Wan and Wang Daoshu were playing with their child. Zhou Wan was already used to the murderous aura. Wang Daoshu's cultivation was too low to feel it. Wang Mingxian did not feel anything at all. On the other hand, Wang Mingren was stimulated by the murderous aura. After that, Wang Daoyuan walked out of the house with the sword. Wang Mingxian looked at the sword of origin and could not take his eyes off it. The mahogany short sword in his hand was no longer attractive. After throwing it away, he ran over and hugged Wang Daoyuan's leg, asking for the sword of origin. He had not even started cultivating, so he could not even use a Dharma artifact, much less a 5th-stage Dharma artifact. Wang Daoyuan put away the sword of origin and smiled. This little guy is really a natural swordsman. He can feel the murderous aura at such a young age. Zhou Wan said from the side, of course, who gave birth to her. Wang Daoyuan knew that there was no chance of winning if he bickered with her, so he admitted defeat. Shadow Master is right. Mingren's talent is mainly due to your intelligence as his mother. After playing with the two little guys for a few days, he returned to the main house. Wang Daoyuan wanted to reforge the Black Jade Cauldron. This Dharma artifact was originally a water-type Dharma artifact and was Old Master Huang's natal Dharma artifact. Now, he wanted to give it to Jia Qi. He was a penta-spirit roots cultivator, so a water-type Dharma artifact was naturally not suitable. Wang Daoyuan planned to incorporate the other 4 types of Dharma artifacts during the reforging process. There was no chance of using a 5th-stage Dharma artifact, so he could only make do with a 5th-stage Dharma artifact. He had obtained plenty of such materials from the Sea of 7 Stars. Earth-type Dharma artifact was to use the heaven-suppressing stone to increase the suppression power of the artifact refining cauldron. Fire-type Dharma artifact was to use the red flame essence iron to increase the refining ability. Metal-type Dharma artifact was to use the dragon lock gold to increase the strength and also gather the 5 elements. Wood-type Dharma artifact was to use a spiritual tree root that could create illusions and increase the number of illusion techniques. It was very difficult to reforge a natal Dharma artifact while retaining its original effects and nurturing results. Any carelessness could destroy the Dharma artifact. Especially water-type Dharma artifacts, which countered fire, needed to incorporate a large amount of precious water-type Dharma artifacts. Wang Daoyuan had the Gui water nether flames, so it would not deplete its essence. Reforging Dharma artifacts was a necessary part of the blacksmithing legacy, and Wang Daoyuan did not lack such things. He used the Gui water nether flames to roast the black jade cauldron and refine the original pattern. He then used the spirit fire to refine the essence of the 4 additional materials and cast them into the black jade cauldron. It took him 3 months to complete the reforging of the black jade cauldron. After the black jade cauldron was reforged, its shape did not change much. It was just that the pattern had turned into 5 flood dragons, which matched Jia Qi's purple mansion anomaly. Wang Daoyuan stored it in the Spirit Pearl spatial zone and let Jia Qi recognize it as the owner before testing its power. Water, fire, suppression, refining, and creating illusions. It had all 5 functions, and its strength had greatly increased. Wang Daoyuan let out a sigh of relief. Being able to reforge the black jade cauldron meant that his status as a 5th-stage Dharma artifact was well deserved. Chapter 901. Jia Qi did not have any divine powers, nor was he a sword cultivator. In terms of strength, he was far inferior to Wang Daoyuan. However, he also cultivated the 5-spirit immortal transformation technique and had mastered many Dharma spells from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. With this black jade cauldron, it should not be a problem to deal with the Great Demon King. Even if he were to head to the Qixing Si Shuxian community now, there would be someone in the family who could hold the fort. Of course, it was not reliable to leave now. Even if the family would not be in any danger, without him holding the fort, the demons would still have the guts to play tricks. It would seriously affect the family's population growth and the expansion of the family business. Before leaving, he had to be fully prepared. Also, he had to be on guard against Blood Shadow. Zhang Dingming was bent on making Zhou Wan a mere figurehead. Without him, this old fellow would definitely cause trouble. Before leaving, he had to take care of the Zhang family. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense had been in the spirit pearl space, watching the power of Jia Qi's black jade cauldron. He scanned with his divine sense and found that the nascent formation fruit beside the mystic sky green spirit peach had also ripened. This nascent formation fruit tree was a small branch obtained in the Seven Stars mystic realm. Under normal circumstances, it was very difficult for a branch of a fifth-stage spiritual tree to survive from cuttings. It was even more unheard of for a nascent formation fruit tree to survive from cuttings. Otherwise, the nascent formation fruit would not be so rare. Under the nourishment of the life spirit fire, the branch successfully survived and later bore 5 nascent formation fruits. After decades, it finally ripened. Unfortunately, the family only had one late-stage golden core cultivator, the 12th uncle. It would take at least 30 to 40 years to break through to the Yuanying realm. The nascent formation fruit could not be sold either. Otherwise, it would attract unwanted attention. When he was in Beiyuan, no one dared to do anything to him. When he left Beiyuan, it was inevitable that someone would have designs on him. The other nascent formation fruit tree, which was cultivated from the core of the fruit, was now more than a foot tall. However, it took 5,000 years for this fruit tree to sprout to bloom. Until now, this fruit tree had only been planted for 40 years. According to the flow of time in the spirit pearl, it had only been 3,000 years. It was still far from blooming. Jia Qi's clone picked the 5 nascent transformation fruits and put them into a special jade box. With a special jade box, the nascent soul fruit could be preserved for at least 1,000 years. After dealing with these matters, Wang Daoyuan walked out of the house. Wang Mingren immediately ran over, hugged his leg and said, "Father, I want the sword." The little guy's speech was already clearer, but he was still a child after all. He still didn't understand anything. Wang Daoyuan picked him up and used magic to remove the dust on him. "You're still young and haven't started cultivating yet. When your cultivation catches up to mine, I'll give you the sword. For now, you can play with the peachwood sword." This little fellow's personality was also rather resolute. He did things in a straightforward and efficient manner. After his pleas were fruitless, he no longer pestered him. After placing him on the ground, he picked up the peachwood sword and continued to chop at the wooden dummy. Wang Mingxian was still very quiet. She could play in a small piece of spiritual field for a long time. This personality was very suitable for walking the path of spirit plants. At this moment, Wang Daoshu walked out of the kitchen. "Seventh brother, I've left the family for 3 or 4 years. I want to go back now." Eighth sister was the head chef of the Wang family. The family had opened restaurants in every market. The group of chefs relied on her to command them, develop new dishes, and nurture spirit chefs. It was all thanks to her. "No problem. It's time for Jia Qi to go back and look after the family. You can go back with him. Uncle and Zhao Yang probably haven't reached the peak of the Violet Palace realm yet. There's no need to rush to help them condense man-made Violet Palace anomalies. When Mingren and Mingxian are 10 years old, I'll bring them back to the family to acknowledge their ancestors. At that time, their cultivation should be able to reach the peak of the Violet Palace realm. I'll help them condense man-made Violet Palace anomalies." Wang Daoshu smiled and said, "Then I'll thank seventh brother on behalf of Zhao Yang. We're family. There's no need to thank me. You're not in a hurry to go back." Wang Daoshu stayed here for a few more days before returning to the Wang family with Jia Qi on the flying warship. Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian were rather reluctant to leave. After all, Zhou Wan had to deal with Blood Shadow's official business and Wang Daoyuan had to refine artifacts. The one who accompanied them the most was their 8th aunt. Now that their 8th aunt was gone, they had no idea where to get their snacks. However, children didn't have good memories. They got used to it after a few days. On the third day after Wang Daoshu left, Wang Mingren chopped the wooden dummies as usual while Wang Mingxian weeded her small spiritual field. Zhou Wan came back angrily and activated the defensive formation as soon as she entered the courtyard. Wang Daoyuan saw that she was quite angry and hurriedly asked, "What's wrong, Shadow Lord? Who made you so angry?" Wang Mingxian walked over to her side and comforted her, "Mother, don't be angry." Wang Mingren also walked over with his peachwood sword. "Mother, who made you angry? I'll go beat him up." Seeing how sensible the two children were, Zhou Wan also smiled. She held the two children in her arms. "You two are sensible, unlike your heartless father." Wang Daoyuan became a negative example again. Now that Zhou Wan finally calmed down, she didn't dare to make her angry again. After playing with the two children for a while, Zhou Wan said, "This Zhang Dingming really pissed me off. I propose to increase the number of talents recommended by the branch to the headquarters. This way, the clan can send more disciples and we can control Blood Shadow sooner." This old guy dug up the rules set tens of thousands of years ago and said that what I did was against the rules. He also roped in a few elders who weren't direct descendants and opposed it with the Zhang clan. I didn't want to use this matter against him, so I endured it and didn't use force. It seemed that Zhang Dingming was a little anxious. In the past few years, Zhang Yu roped in a few elders who weren't direct descendants and unanimously supported Zhou Wan. Su Qinghe's son, Sui Feng, obtained a spirit vein in the Yan kingdom. The Su clan moved a lot of clansmen there. Blood Shadow was famous for its intelligence, so this matter naturally couldn't be hidden from Zhang Dingming. Being an assassin was like licking blood on the blade. There weren't many who really liked this line of work. This was especially true for those idle elders, who had spent their entire lives fighting for their future. Now that they had some family business, they naturally didn't want their descendants to continue living like this. The Su clan had already set an example for them. If they wanted their descendants to live a good life, they could rely on the Yan kingdom. Once the Zhang clan showed signs of decline, more and more elders would take the initiative to rely on the Wang clan. At that time, the Zhang clan could only fight alone. The Wang clan had the advantage and could suppress the Zhang clan's development. In a few years, the Zhang clan would be pushed out of the decision-making circle. If they wanted to prevent this from happening, they had to show their strong side. Only by making the elders who weren't direct descendants have scruples would the Zhang clan be qualified to compete with the Wang clan. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Zhang Dingming is indeed an old fox who has lived for thousands of years. His eyes are really sharp. Stopping your proposal is in line with Blood Shadow's rules and can get more neutral elder support. At the same time, it's also showing strength to let those neutral elders see that the Zhang clan still has enough power. Even if you, the Shadow Master, have the support of the Su and Wang clans, it's not to the extent of covering the sky with one hand. This way, the elders who originally wanted to rely on us will continue to wait and see. The Zhang clan will also fight for more time and have leeway to turn things around. Zhou Wan sighed. I also saw through this old fox's thoughts, so I didn't use the Shadow Master's identity to forcefully suppress him. Otherwise, those neutral elders would probably immediately rely on the Zhang clan. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Actually, this matter is also simple. If this path doesn't work, then we'll change to another path. Right now, there are more and more itinerant cultivators in the Yan kingdom. Especially in Linhai Prefecture and Starfall Plain, there are already large-scale itinerant cultivators gathering. Mingshen and them also took the opportunity to build a large market square. Starfall Plain also set up Starfall County. Where there are large market squares, they can naturally set up a second-level branch. With more second-level branches, they can recommend more talents. Chapter 902. The Qingli branch and the Shanbei branch existed in the Yan kingdom. The Shanbei branch was a first-class branch, while the Qingli branch was a second-class branch. According to the rules of Blood Shadow, the first-class branch could recommend 10 talents to the headquarters every 10 years, while the second-class branch could only recommend 5 talents every 10 years. When Wang Daoyuan came here before, he only brought a few clansmen to test the waters. He didn't bring 15 people with him at once. The 10 clan disciples he brought with him were doing very well at the headquarters of Blood Shadow. Now, almost 10 years had passed. The next time he recommended talents to the headquarters, he would naturally bring more people with him. There were 70 to 80 golden core cultivators in Blood Shadow. Of course, most of them were elders with no duties. Their status was even lower than the hall master of the first-class branch. Those who could really manage things were golden core late-stage and peak-stage cultivators. There were less than 20 golden core late-stage and peak-stage cultivators in Blood Shadow. As long as he could rope in all the non-direct elders among these people, the matter of Blood Shadow would be settled. After listening to Wang Daoyuan's plan, Zhou Wan's eyes lit up. Why didn't I think of such a good plan? Dao Jian is the hall master of the Shanbei branch. He can propose to expand the branch. I'll approve it on my side. It won't violate any of the rules of Blood Shadow. For Blood Shadow, opening a new branch is a great merit for the hall master. Dao Jian's strength isn't enough yet. He won't be of much use at the headquarters now. However, he can accumulate some merits now. When he cultivates to golden core late stage, he can be transferred back to the headquarters. I can directly give him the position of an elder with real power. Your plan can not only increase the number of clan disciples entering Blood Shadow's headquarters, but also earn some merits for Dao Jian. This is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, Lord Shadow Master is a wise man. Sometimes you can't think of it. It's normal that you can't think of it. Oh right, can you guarantee that Zhang Dingming won't find out and send a message to Dao Jian? After hearing Wang Daoyuan's flattery, Zhou Wan was very satisfied. Sending a message is not difficult. As the Shadow Master, I cannot let anyone see my message. Then, she took out a token and sent a message. I've already informed Dao Jian about this and asked him to propose 2 more halls. Then I'll approve it as the Shadow Master. I'd like to see what else Zhang Dingming has to say. Every branch of Blood Shadow had a large communication array. After Zhou Wan sent out the message, Wang Daojian replied in just half a day. The content was also as Wang Daoyuan had said, but it was issued in the name of the Shanbei branch. This message was not only sent to Zhou Wan, but also to the communication array at Blood Shadow's headquarters. Zhou Wan, as well as the top 3 elders with real power, received the news. These 3 elders were Zhang Dingming, Zhang Yu, and Su Qinghe. Soon, Zhang Dingming sent someone to invite Zhou Wan to handle the matter. On the surface, Wang Daoyuan didn't join Blood Shadow, but it wasn't convenient for him to get involved. He just stayed at home and looked after the 2 little fellows. When Zhou Wan arrived at the meeting hall, the 3 elders and a dozen other elders with real power were all there. Seeing her arrive, Zhang Dingming cupped his hands and said, reporting to the Shadow Master, Shanbei Branch's Hall Master Wang Daojian has proposed to establish a Starfall branch in Shanbei's Starfall Plains. He also wants to establish a Linhai branch in Linhai Province, which is at the mouth of the 10,000 Rivers River. This matter is of great importance, so we ask the Shadow Master to make a decision. Zhou Wan feigned ignorance and asked, Elders, what do you think? To be able to become an elder with real power, even if they weren't particularly shrewd, they had to at least have brains. Wang Daojian was also a member of the Wang clan, so this matter was clearly a 2-man show. Anyone who spoke up to stop them would be asking for a snub. Zhang Yu hurriedly stood up and said, reporting to the Shadow Master, Wang Daojian has taken over your previous position, so he has the authority to appoint and dismiss second-order branch hall masters and vice hall masters. Moreover, he has the authority to establish a second-order branch. Now that he's proposed to the headquarters to establish a branch, there's naturally no problem. Su Qinghe also hurriedly said, our Blood Shadow sphere of influence has never been able to expand to Linhai Province. If we can establish a Linhai branch now, our Blood Shadow will be able to obtain more cheap special spiritual items from Linhai Province in the future. Moreover, we can use Linhai Province as a springboard to expand into the sea. Although Starfall Plains' value is far less than Linhai Province's, it's still a huge breakthrough for our Blood Shadow. In the past, we only had one Shanbei branch in Shanbei. Now that we have a Starfall Plains branch, we can be considered to have expanded our intelligence network. According to Wang Daojian's message, more than 200,000 wandering cultivators have gathered in Linhai Province. Moreover, the number of wandering cultivators is rapidly increasing. There are slightly fewer wandering cultivators in Starfall Plains, but there are still more than 100,000 of them. Apart from assassinations, our Blood Shadow branch also has a business that earns spirit stones. There are enough wandering cultivators in Linhai Province and Starfall Plains, so we should be able to earn quite a bit of spirit stones. The Su clan's elders, as well as those who weren't direct descendants, also voiced their agreement. Even those elders who usually maintained a neutral stance were now in favor of establishing 2 branches. This matter would only benefit Blood Shadow, and there were no disadvantages. Everyone was happy to see it happen. Zhou Wan asked Zhang Dingming, first elder, what do you think? Now that the other elders with real power had already expressed their agreement, if he still didn't agree, he would be standing on the opposite side of the elders. Moreover, this matter was reasonable and would also be greatly beneficial to Blood Shadow's headquarters. He thought for a long time but couldn't think of a reason to stop it. In the end, his face turned red. This old man agrees with Wang Daojian establishing the Linhai branch and Starfall branch. In this way, all the elders with real power in Blood Shadow agreed to this matter. Zhou Wan smiled. Since that's the case, then according to the elders, we'll allow Wang Daojian to establish 2 new branches. Linhai Province and Shanbei are simply too far away from here. The cost of mobilizing manpower and resources from the headquarters is simply too high. Since Wang Daojian proposed to establish these branches, let the Shanbei branch bear the cost of the resources needed to establish these 2 new branches. After these 2 branches are established, they will also be under the jurisdiction of the Shanbei branch. What do you think, elders? Zhang Yu added, Elder Wang Daojian has lived in Shanbei for a long time and understands the situation there better. Letting him take charge of these 2 branches is the most appropriate. This matter wasn't unreasonable at all. These 2 places were the Wang family's territory. Without the Wang family's leadership, these 2 branches couldn't be established. All the elders unanimously agreed again. Zhou Wan smiled. In this case, please send a message to Wang Daojian in the name of Blood Shadow's headquarters. With that, she got up and left the meeting hall, returning to the Zhou family's small courtyard. Zhang Dingming was furious. His face was ashen. He wanted to object, but couldn't find a reason. He could only forcibly hold it in. After returning to the courtyard, Zhou Wan hurriedly opened the courtyard's formation. Then, she laughed heartily. Your method is still the best. All the elders unanimously agreed to establish 2 branches. Zhang Dingming was almost angered to death. Wang Daoyuan replied, this is a small matter. Zhang Dingming wants to play mind games with us and fight for control of Blood Shadow. Although the Zhang family has deep roots, the power they can mobilize is far less than our Wang family. In the future, don't play any tricks with him. Schemes are advantageous to the weaker side. Just be a good shadow master. Every major matter you do must be in line with Blood Shadow's interests. The family could invest more resources and rope in those elders who weren't direct descendants. If you want spirit veins, you can give them titles, and you can give them inheritances. I don't believe that our Wang family has the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts and a large territory in our hands. Do you think we can't compete with the Zhang family in terms of resources? This is an open conspiracy. You have the righteous title of Shadow Master and the support of the family's resources. No matter how great Zhang Dingming's abilities are, he can't rely solely on his mouth to win over those non-direct elders. If this goes on, in 10 or 20 years, those non-direct elders will be on our side with all their hearts. Chapter 903. Looking at Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan laughing, the two little guys didn't understand anything and just laughed foolishly on the side. Zhou Wan asked, "What should we do next? Do we continue to attack the Zhang family or let it go first?" Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "There's no hurry. I have the advantage now. What we need to do is to proceed step by step. Do everything according to Blood Shadow's rules and try to satisfy those neutral elders. The more things you do, the higher your prestige in the hearts of those elders. When your prestige surpasses Zhang Dingming, most of the neutral elders will side with us. At that time, we can find a way to make Zhang Dingming a mere figurehead. After today's matter, there will soon be other elders imitating the Su family and wanting to establish branches in the Yan kingdom. The matter of the family recommending talents to the headquarters can also be put aside for the time being. It won't be too late to recommend after the Lin Hai and Fallen Star branches are established." Zhou Wan nodded. "I'm just afraid that Zhang Dingming will come up with some schemes and mess up our arrangements." Wang Daoyuan didn't take it seriously. What else can he do? With me here, if he dares to use force, I can smile until my mouth is crooked. We can take the opportunity to kill Zhang Dingming and suppress the Zhang family in a justifiable way. If he wants to use power to suppress others, does he have the power of you, Shadow Master, Second Elder, and Third Elder? In terms of resources, the Su family and some elders support us. You are also the Shadow Master. Most of Blood Shadow's resources are in your hands. Even if we can't casually use these resources, we can guarantee that the Zhang family won't touch them. If Zhang Dingming wants to cause trouble, he can only use his family's private resources. The Su family doesn't have many private resources. Even if the Zhang family is stronger, it won't be too much. The resources he can mobilize can't be compared to our Wang family at all. Force, power, and resources, he can't do anything. What can he do? Zhou Wan nodded. Hearing you say that, it seems that the Zhang family doesn't have many resources at their disposal. I couldn't tell that you are quite good at playing mind games. Wang Daoyuan said proudly, "Of course, I've been with Lord Shadow Master for hundreds of years. Lord Shadow Master is extremely intelligent. No matter how stupid I am, I can still learn something from him. First, make sure you can't win, then wait for the enemy to win. We are already in an invincible position. As long as we don't make any big mistakes, we will be able to completely crush the Zhang clan." The reason why Zhang Dingming could still stir up trouble now was because he had been the great elder for hundreds of years and had accumulated extremely high prestige. Wait until your prestige surpasses his, then wait for him to become a mere figurehead. I am in no hurry to go to the Sea of Seven Stars. Anyway, I'm not even 400 years old yet. I'm still far from the 2,000-year limit. As for the matter of the Tier 6 Yin Yang Fei, I already had some ideas when I went to the Sea of Seven Stars. I have also found a backup plan. It wouldn't take long for him to break through to the soul formation stage after obtaining the Yin Yang spiritual item. Waiting in Beiyuan for 100 or 200 years is nothing. With you here, I feel a lot more at ease. Before you came here, Zhang Dingming was very arrogant and always showed off his seniority in front of me. If it weren't for the two doppelgangers you left for me, he might have seized power openly. As soon as she finished speaking, two people outside the door asked to see her. Zhou Wan opened the array formation and let them in. These two people were not strangers. One of them was the second elder, Zhang Yu. The other was an old man named Xiao Jing. Xiao Jing's appearance could be considered dignified. He was wearing a white wide-sleeved robe, a white jade crown on his head, and his long beard fluttering in the wind. He looked like an immortal. All cultivators liked to dress like this when they were old. When Zhou Wan was elected as the Shadow Master, he also contributed a lot. Xiao Jing and Zhou Wan's father didn't have much contact. However, he and Zhang Yu's master were good friends for many years. He had always been on Zhang Yu's side and could be considered as Zhou Wan's supporter. After the two entered the courtyard, they hurriedly bowed and said, "Greetings to the Shadow Master and retired Emperor." Zhou Wan smiled and said, "Uncle Zhang, Elder Chao, you are all my elders. You don't have to be so polite. If you have something to talk to me about, just say it. Zhang Yu replied, it's not that I have something to talk to you about, but Elder Chao wants to ask the Shadow Master and retired Emperor for help. Elder Chao cupped his hands and said, I'm almost 900 years old, and my talent is not enough to form my nascent soul. Although my family is not a direct descendant, it has been 4 or 5 generations since we joined the Blood Shadow. There are many clansmen, and even I have more than 10 children. All these years, we have been suppressed by the Zhang and Su families, and it has been difficult for us to advance. Now, only my eldest son has good talent and has successfully formed his gold core. However, his talent is not as good as mine. It will be difficult for him to become an elder with real power in the future. My grandson's talent is even worse. He doesn't even have 2 spiritual roots. If we continue to stay in the Blood Shadow, the younger generation will gradually decline. I want to ask the retired emperor to let my youngest son work in the country of Yan and leave a way out for the Chao family. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was delighted. He had come to defect. Chao Jing's influence was naturally incomparable to that of the Zhang and Su families. However, it was still the accumulation of several generations, and among the elders who were not direct descendants, he was still very influential. The only person who was stronger than him among the elders who were not direct descendants was the Blood Wolf supervisor, Wuxia. Wuxiang's situation was similar to Chao Jing's. It was also the accumulation of several generations. However, his talent was better, and he was a cultivator with heavenly spiritual roots. Although heavenly spiritual roots cultivators were rare, a large force like the Blood Shadow could still recruit a few. There had never been a cultivator with heavenly spiritual roots in the Blood Wolf, so the supervisor naturally had to have a heavenly spiritual root to suppress him. Now, Wuxiang was only 400 years old, and he was already a peak golden core cultivator. With his talent, breaking his gold core and forming his nascent soul was a piece of cake. Although the Chao family's status was not as high as the Wu family's, it was not too low. In addition, Wuxiang had already accepted a disciple of the Wang family as a disciple, so he could be considered to be on the Wang family's side. Once the Chao family declared their position, many elders would come to defect. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly said, Elder Chao, you're exaggerating. The Yan kingdom has just been established, and the Wang family is seriously lacking in manpower. We need talents. Young Master Chao's talent must be extraordinary. Since you want to work in the Yan kingdom, we will not treat you badly. There are many remaining spirit veins in Guiyan County, north of Shanbei. It is not a big deal to give you a spirit vein. As long as young Master Chao performs meritorious deeds, you will be granted a title and land in the future. After receiving Wang Daoyuan's promise, Chao Jing was full of smiles. Thank you for your kindness, retired emperor. Wang Daoyuan took out a communication jade talisman and sent a message to the Yan kingdom, asking Wang Mingchen to arrange a spirit vein for the Chao family in Guiyan County. I have already instructed Mingchen to find a level 4 spirit vein in Guiyan County for young Master Chao. Elder Chao can send him over at any time. Chao Jinghao thanked him profusely before taking his leave. Zhang Yu's situation was different from Chao Jing's. He was a talent recommended by the branch, and did not have any foundation in the Blood Shadow. For cultivators without foundation like him, the Zhang and Su families had a consistent attitude of suppressing them. If not for his relationship with Zhou Wan, Zhang Yu would only be an elder with an idle job. He did not have a family behind him. Now, he only had a cultivation partner and 3 children with spirit roots. This small family could live well with his treatment as an elder. There was no need for him to move to the Yan kingdom. After the 2 of them left, Zhou Wan smiled. It seems that your overt scheme has some effect. Elder Chao came to join us after just one thing. After a few more things, I'm afraid that even Wuxiang will have to send people to work in the Yan kingdom. This will happen sooner or later. Our Wang family has pulled the Su family and a group of non-direct elders to fight the Zhang family. As long as we can defeat the Zhang family, they will give up a lot of benefits. For tens of thousands of years, the Zhang and Su families have the final say in the blood shadow. Families with non-direct elders will be pushed out after a few generations. Now that there is a chance to turn things around, there are naturally many people who want to get involved. Chapter 904. Zhou Wan looked indignant. Before you came here, Zhang Dingming had been thinking of ways to make me a mere figurehead. After you came, he restrained himself a bit. Now that we have the chance, we have to let him know how powerful I am as the Shadow Master. How should we deal with him next? Let's not do anything for now. If we want to completely control Blood Shadow, we have to ensure that there isn't any serious internal strife. The Zhang clan and the Su clan have tens of thousands of years of foundation. They have people in all of Blood Shadow, from the headquarters to the various branches, and even some of the scattered spies. Most of the hall masters were also promoted by them. In the middle and lower levels, the two clans probably have more than 80% of their power. The Su clan took the initiative to admit defeat. As long as we win over Su Qinghe and the others, we can borrow the Su clan's power. The Zhang clan's power is only stronger than the Su clan's. If we really fight head-on, we'll also suffer great losses if we take down the Zhang clan. Moreover, the Zhang clan's power will be completely gone, and Blood Shadow's intelligence network will also be cut in half. It'll probably take a few hundred years to recover. Zhou Wan was still a bit angry. I really want to get rid of the Zhang clan immediately. She was a fire attribute cultivator, and most fire attribute cultivators were rather impatient. Even Wang Mingchen was like this when he was young. Later, under Wang Shui's personal guidance, his personality gradually became steady. In addition, she was a bit narrow-minded to begin with, so her impatience was even more obvious. Lord Shadow Master, please calm down. Haste makes waste. Let's wait patiently. We'll slowly cut off the Zhang clan's henchmen and divide their power. It won't be too late to deal with the Zhang clan then. Zhou Wan took out the command medallion and looked at it. The Dao slip sent a letter asking about the arrangements for the Lin Hai and Falling Star branches. These places are our Wang clan's territory. Their power is relatively simple, and they're mostly lone cultivators. Relying on assassinations to earn spirit stones is definitely unreliable. The main purpose of Blood Shadow's various branches was to gather information. Apart from occupying special industries, they didn't need to hand over information to the headquarters. Of course, if they could hand over some natural treasures, they could also receive a lot of rewards. The headquarters controlled the branches mainly by appointing and dishing out hall masters, as well as inheritance of cultivation techniques and all kinds of treasures. As for the day-to-day operations of the branches, the headquarters couldn't control them. The things that the branch obtained from the headquarters also required contribution points. These contribution points had to be exchanged with information and treasures. This included the yin-yang purple jade that was given every 100 years, which was actually exchanged with contribution points. In addition, there were also various missions assigned by the headquarters, which could also earn contribution points. Now in the Yen Kingdom, both the black and white sides were controlled by the Yen Kingdom's imperial court. Assassination missions could only be carried out with the approval of the imperial court, and the income in this area was greatly reduced. Now, the Shanbei and Qingli branches were supported by the spirit stones provided by the Yen Kingdom. However, these branches did not belong to the Yen Kingdom in name. The dominance of these branches became a conflict between the Yen Kingdom and Blood Shadow. If this situation continued, it would be the Yen Kingdom spending money to help Blood Shadow raise the branch. On the Blood Shadow side, some of the elders were unhappy that their own branch didn't listen to them and instead listened to the Yen Kingdom. As time passed, it would lead to a bigger conflict and even affect the relationship between the Yen Kingdom and Blood Shadow. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a long time before saying, "Actually, I've had some ideas for a long time. It's just that I didn't control many branches in the past, so there's no need to play any tricks. Now, there will be 4 branches, and there may be more in the future. Then, I can perfect my previous idea. I plan to set up a chamber of commerce in the name of the Yen Kingdom. This chamber of commerce will be in charge of many industries. Different industries will play different roles. Some will be in charge of raw material production, some will be in charge of transportation, and some will be in charge of trading. The various industries will be managed by the Chamber of Commerce. Doing business is much better than doing it alone. Moreover, doing business in the name of the Chamber of Commerce was actually a form of expansion, and it would not be ostracized by the local forces. Blood Shadow branches would open a few shops, and these shops would join the Chamber of Commerce. The income from the Chamber of Commerce would be used to maintain the operations of the various branches. The imperial court would not contact Blood Shadow directly, which could also avoid a lot of trouble. If the Chamber of Commerce could expand, it could expand to the surrounding areas and swallow up the other branches of Blood Shadow. Moreover, the various industries of the family and the imperial court could be placed under the Chamber of Commerce. The upper management of the Chamber of Commerce could be held by people from the Yen Kingdom's finance palace. If they expanded in the name of the Yen Kingdom, it would give the other forces the impression that the Yen Kingdom was bullying the weak. If they expanded in the name of the Chamber of Commerce, they would only be doing business, and there would be no intention of invading. After the family disciples completely control Blood Shadow, they would swallow up the entire headquarters and make Blood Shadow a part of the Chamber of Commerce. Zhou Wan nodded. It is very suitable for the Yen Kingdom and Blood Shadow to merge in this way. However, how will the headquarters of Blood Shadow be fooled in this way? Some of the elders are very stubborn, and they are worried that Blood Shadow will become a subsidiary of our Wang family. Otherwise, many non-direct elders would not object to my suggestion of changing some of the rules. Wang Daoyuan smiled. This is not difficult. The various branches of Blood Shadow have the right to operate industries. It can be said that the Yen Kingdom's Imperial Court and Blood Shadow Mountain's northern branch are cooperating. There is no need to set up a Chamber of Commerce in one go. We can set up the Chamber of Commerce in the name of the Chamber of Commerce first, and only have a few shops under it. At the root of it, it is the same as a branch opening a shop. Do the branches of Blood Shadow still need the approval of the headquarters to operate the shops? You are so cunning. Indeed, we can bypass the headquarters and set up the Chamber of Commerce first. We can also use the business of the Chamber of Commerce to gradually control the other branches and eliminate the henchmen of the Zhang family. Oh right, what should we name the Chamber of Commerce? The name of the Chamber of Commerce must be grand. Jade Spring Chamber of Commerce, Clear Glass Chamber of Commerce, and so on are too small. In the future, when the Chamber of Commerce expands to other countries, it will be easy to be rejected. Let's call it Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce. The territories of all the countries in Beiyuan Shouxian are in the Wanchuan River Basin. No matter where we do business, we will not be rejected. There is no need to be too detailed for now. When Ming Ren and Ming Xian are 10 years old, I will bring them back to Jade Spring Peak to acknowledge their ancestors. At that time, I will discuss with Ming Chen and the others how to refine the structure of the Chamber of Commerce. Zhou Wan nodded and took out the Shadow Master's token to send a message to Wang Daojian. In just 4 to 6 hours, Wang Daojian, who was in Clear Glass City, received the message. After taking a look, he hurriedly ran to the Imperial Palace and reported to Wang Mingchen. When he saw Wang Mingchen, he took out a jade scroll. Your Majesty, the retired emperor sent a message about the Blood Shadow Division. This involves the Imperial Court, so I do not dare to make decisions on my own. This is the content of the Empress Dowager's top secret message. I have copied it down for your Majesty to take a look. Wang Mingchen took a look. Imperial Father's idea is not bad. The Imperial Court and the Blood Shadow Mountain's North Branch Hall will cooperate to establish a Chamber of Commerce. This way, we can avoid the conflict between the Yen Kingdom and the Blood Shadow Division. In the future, when we become bigger, we can continue to expand to other places. It just so happens that our Yen Kingdom has too many resources and insufficient population. We can also sell all kinds of resources to other places through the Chamber of Commerce. Since it is Imperial Father's idea, we will do as he says. We have to find Ming Ji and Ming Kong to handle this matter. They are in charge of the Treasury Hall. The Treasury Hall will be in charge of all matters related to business and finances. Men, invite the Treasury Hall Master and Deputy Hall Master over for a discussion. A young clan member in armor bowed and said yes, then walked out. Holding a position by Wang Mingchen's side, he could come into contact with all kinds of secrets of the Wang family. Especially this kind of personal bodyguard, it was naturally not a position that an ordinary person could take on. This person was Wang Daochang's grandson, the Wang family's second heavenly spirit root cultivator, Wang Delan. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.